What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're here for a brand new Madden 25 20-year rebuild, where we start in the 2002 regular season, and we're going to rebuild a team to present day, which is actually technically 22 years. We're going to have a lot of fun because we get to reshape the entirety of the NFL. We get to see where all the other players go and carve out their NFL careers. But more importantly, we get to focus on a specific team. We've already done this series for the Chicago Bears and the Cleveland Browns. And every time I look in the comments for the most requested team, and this one was close for who was going to be our next episode, I saw a lot of Carolina Panthers. They're not that far removed in 2002 of being an expansion roster. I saw the New York Jets because they've been just terrible that whole time. But the tiebreaker and the deciding factor as to why we are doing this 20-year rebuild of the Miami Dolphins is that it was brought to my attention that the Dolphins, in this same time frame, have failed to win a playoff game. They have not had a playoff win over the last 20 years. I was like, all right, that's unacceptable. I gotta help them out there. So that is what we're gonna do at this point in time, though. Let me know in the comment section below what team you want to see next for the 20-year rebuilds. And just in case, because I don't know, these videos take like 3 days to record. If you guys haven't seen a Pink Slips episode yet, I'm working on it. The Madden title update broke my Pink Slips mod. The modder's trying to fix it, and as soon as he fixes it, I'm going to be recording those episodes. But in case you see this rebuild and it's still like, where the hell is Pink Slips? As soon as I can make Pink Slips, I will be making Pink Slips. But that being said, let's jump in and preview this 2002 Miami Dolphins roster. So taking a look at our starting point roster, this is closely similar to if you just open a freshly sealed copy of Madden 2003. This is what the Dolphins would look like. We have this Patrick Swayze lookalike in Jay Fielder at quarterback. He's going to be our starting quarterback for a minute, but I think ultimately the plan for a 31-year-old that's likely at a ceiling going to regress very soon is we're going to have to find our next franchise quarterback. A true Dan Marino successor. At running back, we got Ricky Williams, one of my favorite players of all time, especially, as I've grown older, I've appreciated and grown into appreciating the things that Ricky Williams stood for, if you know what I mean. Ricky Williams was a Pro Bowler, was a first-team All-Pro back in 2002. So he's coming off, like the season that we're about to go into. Ricky Williams this year in real life ended up finishing first-team All-Pro at 1,800 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns, over 2,200 yards from scrimmage. I believe he was third or fourth in Offensive Player of the Year voting, but the best running back in the NFL. Awesome player, excited to have him carry the load and be probably the feature player for this rebuild for a minute. We have Chris Chambers, who was the wide receiver one at this time. He was always like a good role player. At this point, I know he's only year 2 of his career. He ended up playing for the Miami Dolphins for 7 seasons, finished with 5,600 yards and 43 touchdowns. Only going over 1,000 yards once in 2005, and that year he made the Pro Bowl as a rookie, so we're getting him off his rookie campaign. He was third in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting, so we definitely have something there as far as, 84 going into your second year. Like, that's a high ceiling. Only a little bit of bummers. That is a normal dev trait, so we're going to have to work on that. We have the veteran at this point in time, Chris Carter, near the end of his career. All he does is catch touchdowns, but having a veteran like this, never the end of the world, even though he likely will only be here for 1 season. The offensive line across the board is not great. Dixon, Ruddy, and Wade are our highest rated linemen. They're all in their 30s. So retooling this offensive line is going to be a priority during the draft. We have Randy McMichael, the rookie out of Georgia, who was pretty good, all things considered, for the Miami Dolphins. Played there for 5 seasons, had just over 3,000 yards and 18 touchdowns. So a reliable weapon there, and easily the best rookie on this roster. The defense is the strength of this Dolphins team. We have some good role players. Marion, a veteran. Greenwood eventually would develop into a guy who was like a reliable 100 tackler, but that was when he went to the Texans in the second part of his career. We have Ogunleye, who is a young pass rusher here. Ended up having a really, really solid career. He had 9.5 sacks in this season that was in 02. Next year for the Dolphins, he had 15 sacks. Kind of up and down, sporadic sack numbers for the rest of his career, but for a second-year player, a lot of upside. Hey, take a look at the big dogs. We got Jason Taylor, 28-year-old X-Factor. He's a Hall of Famer, 6-time Pro Bowl, 3-time All-Pro. Won the 2006 Defensive Player of the Year award. At this point in time, he's coming off a season where he had 8.5 sacks. But this 2002 season, the season that we're about to get into, he had his best mark in his entire career with 18 and a half sacks. And he ended up playing till he was 37 and kind of aged like a fine wine. Arguably played his best football in his 30s than he did in his 20s. So hopefully that is the case here, and the regression bug doesn't hit him too hard. The secondary for this team is also absolutely stacked. We have Sam Madison, who was a 99 overall in Madden 03 for the Miami Dolphins. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. Ended up finishing his career. He had 9 years with the Miami Dolphins, 31 career picks for the Dolphins. Then we have Pat Surtain, the dad of PS2, who we know right now is currently one of the best corners in the NFL for the Denver Broncos. But his dad was a legit baller as well. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro. Made that All-Pro this 2002 season. So a lot of our players, it would be cool to see if they can kind of like reenact it a little bit in real life. But this season that we're about to sim, in real life, a lot of them had their career years. Madison this season had 6 interceptions. Next year in 2003, he had 7 interceptions. So we're just entering his prime. Last but not least, we have Zach Thomas at middle linebacker. When I think of this era, when I think of when I was first getting into football and what I thought about the Miami Dolphins, Zach Thomas is like, he's the guy that I associate with this team. Zach Thomas is a Hall of Famer. Probably took him a little longer to get in than he needed to. 7-time Pro Bowl, 5-time first team All-Pro. He's a member of the All-2000s team. And another player very similar to Jason Taylor. You can make the argument that, like, he was really good in his 20s, but also he just maintained that high level until he decided to retire. For the Miami Dolphins, he had a 12-year career, over 1,600 total tackles for the Miami Dolphins. Ahead of this 2002 season, he had a year where he had 156 total tackles, which is absolutely disgusting. An absolute machine, and he is going to be the heart and soul of this defense and of this rebuild. And because we got to shout out special teamers, Olindo Mare at kicker was the second highest rated player on the Miami Dolphins in Madden 03. He had a 97 overall rating. They want to go that crazy because kicker ratings have definitely scaled over time in Madden, but as a 91 overall, he actually at this point in time is the second highest rated kicker in the NFL. And I think at this time he was only behind Vinatieri. So that is your 2002 Miami Dolphins as we get ready for year 1 of this rebuild. As you can see, I mean, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We got to retool the offensive line. We've got to find maybe better scheme fits across the defense. But at the end of the day, the biggest problem is we do not have a quarterback. And we're going to be in a holding pattern until we can draft a quarterback. And I don't know, especially with how talented our defense is, you know, the kind of ranges that we're going to be drafting at, we're probably not going to have an opportunity to get one of those ballers at quarterback unless the offense completely shits the bed. So, we'll find one eventually. I just don't know how soon. Jesus Christ, not going to get a much better start than that. Game 1 of the rebuild, we beat the absolute brakes off the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we get a Jay Fielder, Patrick Swayze Offensive Player of the Week performance, and Zach Thomas gives us a Defensive Player of the Week performance. This is a sign of the season to come. Look out! So another thing you might have noticed at the top right-hand side of the screen is our head coach is Nick Saban. Now, Nick Saban did not become the head coach of the Miami Dolphins till 2005, so we're a little bit early, but I feel like there's a scenario that I want to force on this rebuild. Usually we just take the drafts as is. We have our house rules. We can overdraft players that end up becoming great Dolphins in this case, but I think at this point in time, like a pivotal defining moment, Nick Saban, as the head coach, wanted Drew Brees as his quarterback. Drew Brees had a bad injury with the Chargers. Chargers were shipping him off. This is right at the time that they got Phillip Rivers in the building. And it was like something that was like Nick's. I don't know why it never came to fruition, and Drew Brees ended up going to the Saints. But I think one of the biggest what-ifs of the mid to early 2000s was what if Drew Brees went to the Miami Dolphins and not to the New Orleans Saints? That's what Nick Saban wanted. Hey, surprise, surprise, Nick Saban knows what he's doing. So, we're going to make it happen. From a rating standpoint, Drew Brees is a 78 normal depth. Question marks were still around him whether or not for the Chargers, is he going to be our next franchise quarterback? Can't stay healthy. Do we need to look elsewhere? Do we need to look towards the draft? So I'm flipping him for Jay Fielder, who's a lot older, but from a rating standpoint, it gives the Chargers a serviceable hand at quarterback. I'm, however, trading our first-round pick in 2023 and our first-round pick in 2024 to secure the services of Drew Brees, but now we get to see a what-if. And not only just from a what-if standpoint, But we're not getting Hall of Fame, legendary stat, New Orleans Saint Drew Brees. We're getting question mark year 2 Drew Brees, who's a 78 normal. Now, I'm confident we're going to be able to get him to play some pretty damn good football for Nick Saban's Miami Dolphins. But we're not, at this point in time, I think we overpay. Anytime you get a normal dev quarterback, you have to, there's question marks. There's the unknown. Are you ever going to get him to flip a dev trade? Is your offense ever going to be able to facilitate a quarterback that's going to be able to put up good enough numbers to get a dev trade? And if we're not gaining a dev trade, you don't pay 2 first-round picks for a normal dev quarterback. I don't care what the agent base rating is. So we're going to have to reshape, retool, and recarve out the career of Drew Brees. Hopefully, here in Miami, it ends up being as legendary as it was with the New Orleans Saints. I guess also quickly, because I'd introduced that Saban's our head coach, for the offensive defensive playbook, we go for coaches that have coached under Nick Saban. So that is Brian Daboll's offensive playbook, Dan Quinn's defensive playbook. We're 4-4 at the midway point, but we didn't make that Drew Brees trade till right at the trade deadline. So I'm anticipating, look, our first win with Drew Brees at quarterback, 17-14 over the Bills, who are very good at this point in time. Optimistic we will close this season out strong. Our contracts, we're going to bring Ricky Williams back on a 5-year deal to ensure that he finishes his prime and beyond potentially as a Miami Dolphin. Also going to bring back veteran D-tackle Tim Bowens, who's an 80 overall for 2 more seasons. And at the end of year number 1, we are able to squeak into the playoffs. Fact of the matter is, our Dolphins roster is not terrible in comparison to the rest of the league. Definitely a top 10 roster, really propelled by our defense. We end up with a 6 overall offense, number 2 ranked run game on the back of Ricky Williams, and our defense very consistent, as you would expect with a Nick Saban unit. Now, Drew Brees played sparingly for us, didn't, and started the first half of the season with the Chargers. So I'm not going to judge him harshly on his final stat line here. I'm also not going to say that there was at least 3 to 4 games after trading for him that Rosenfels was the starting quarterback for whatever reason. The depth chart got messed up. We're just going to act like, just a mulligan year. Drew Brees will officially be a Dolphin next season. Running the ball, Ricky Williams, incredible. 1,800 yards, 21 touchdowns. Also had almost another 400, so over 2,000 yards, 25 touchdowns. Better than his all-pro year that he had in real life. So that's awesome that we're kind of getting that. He might have a dev trade upgrade. We have Gadsden, whose son actually, if you're paying attention to the draft this upcoming year, his son's one of the most highly regarded tight end prospects. Kind of more of a pure receiver. I believe it's Syracuse Gadsden, the same name. Aronde Gadsden, the 3rd or 2nd or something. But we got Randy McMichael, a rookie tight end, 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, 870 and 6 from the veteran Chris Carter. And Chris Chambers with almost 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns. A very, very good season. Zach Thomas continues to be a tackle machine. We got 18.5 sacks on 13 TFLs for Jason Taylor, 14 TFLs, 6 sacks for Ogunleye. And on the interception front, that's probably the big disappointment. With Madison and Surtain being as good as they are, you'd like to see those interception numbers, honestly, tripled. Peyton Manning wins MVP, something that I always like. I like to see who the MVP is, because in our last 20-year rebuild with the Cleveland Browns, Michael Vick won 7 MVPs and finished as easily the greatest quarterback of all time. Also, shout out, that's not Jeff Garcia, but shout out Jeff Garcia. Love seeing him on there. Ricky Williams ends up winning both Offensive Player of the Year and Running Back of the Year. Absolute beast. Close but no cigar, Jason Taylor, runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. So if we're going to go on a deep playoff run, it's going to be on the back of our run game here against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hell kind of game's that? 13-9. Cordell Stewart plays better than young Drew Brees. Our run game was relatively held in check. Battle of 2 beasts, Jerome Bettis, Ricky Williams. And on the defensive side of the ball, they got 2 sacks from Porter, Gilden. Yeah, ugly game, ugly win, but they deserved it. They were better. So the interview number 1, we have a couple things to touch on. Number 1 is Chris Chambers gets off his normal dev up to a start dev. Ricky Williams, after having the absolutely dominating season that he did, gets himself for rush yards leader, running back of the year, offensive player of the year, a superstar X factor, and he's going to be bringing every bit of that wrecking ball ability. And I just like to, again, we use the Men in Black, the pen that makes you forget that the season ever happened. Drew Brees, his year one here, half year with the Dolphins, never existed. We are now going in to year number 2 of this rebuild with a brand new franchise quarterback. I'm going to bring that optimism with me. Defensively, the bummer is we lost the X factor on Sam Madison, but can't complain. These guys didn't have turnovers, and turnovers is a huge factor on whether or not you keep your dev traits as a DB in Madden. So we don't have a first-round pick this year or next year, but we'll still kind of get an idea of the mock draft, where some of the top names are going to land. We have the Cleveland Browns selecting Carson Palmer. Andre Johnson potentially ends up a Cincinnati Bengal. Terrell Suggs, who in our last 20-year rebuild with the Browns ended up becoming the all-time sack leader in an NFL career. He's going top 10 to the Titans. Dallas Clark to the Lions. So there's a couple interesting fits here. For this class in particular, was not a good year for the Dolphins. If we want to try to recreate history, like their first-round pick, a linebacker, never heard of, like David Moore, was a bust. So applying our house rules, which means we have to pick within one full round of our given pick. So we have to get someone within the top 86 selections. And I think this one's going to be relatively easy. I scouted White Lightning Kevin Curtis. And even though we're not at Mike McDaniel's Dolphins, we're going to try to embrace having speed and speed killing. And Kevin Curtis, the original White Lightning, that was his nickname. I don't think it might have been Donovan McNabb that gave it, because he was a fast white wide receiver on the Eagles. That is exactly what he's going to bring here, and he will be wide receiver 2 likely on the other side of Chris Chambers next year as a rookie. No! No way! No! Dude. Right in front of us, Jeremiah Bell, the safety, was the only good pick for the Dolphins. It was like a 6th-round pick. This was going to be my overdraft. Oh my God, he was a real solid safety for a bunch of years for the Dolphins. I don't know if he made a Pro Bowl or not. Jeremiah Bell, let me look at it right here. Jeremiah Bell did make the Pro Bowl with the Dolphins in 2009. Had a 8-year career with Miami. That was going to be my pick in round 4. Are you unbelievable? I literally let me draft the only other player I've heard of that is available still in this draft. That is Ike Taylor at corner. Ends up being a pretty solid pick, but I don't need corners. It's just another... It's so annoying. Take a look at our draft recap. I still just can't believe we got robbed there. Yeah, class is fine. We don't have a first-round pick. I mean, our first-round pick was Drew Brees. We get White Lightning Kevin Curtis, 70 with a dev trait. Ike Taylor, 68 with a dev trait into a loaded secondary, unfortunately. And then I was just like, all right, if I've heard of you or you have a player portrait, I'm going to bring you in. So we got Kasim Osgood in the 5th. Not a great pick. We got Jamal Jackson, who was a multi-year starter at center for the Philadelphia Eagles, 69. And then we got Cullen Jenkins in the 6th round with a 68. He'll kick inside the defensive tackle for us. So the midway point of year number 2, we are 4-3, coming off a huge win over the Atlanta Falcons and New England Patriots, 2 in a row. But this one, we got a Player of the Week performance from our new franchise quarterback in Drew Brees. Need more of that. For free agents, we're going to bring back center veteran Tim Ruddy, who's 79. Probably going to regress a little bit, but I don't really want to be drafting a center this early in the rebuild, so we'll run him into the ground. Same with Todd Wade at right tackle. He's 26 years old, 78 overall normal dev. Hey, that's a 4-year contract right there, bud. And then in year number 2, we follow up with making the playoffs in year 1 by going 12-5 on the back of the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL and a top 5 defense. We win our first AFC East title, which is pretty damn good considering our last 20-year rebuild with the Cleveland Browns. I think it took us 7-8 years to win a divisional title. So happy that we were able to hit that here today. Drew Brees still not putting up freaky numbers, but I think it's also fair to say we don't have the skill position players to necessarily correlate with, like, you know, your 4,000-yard, 40-plus touchdown production. And our run game is so dominant that, like, that is really, really good numbers, especially the touchdown to interception ratio, when you know we have the best running back in the NFL. Ricky Williams, 1,700 yards and 22 touchdowns, an absolute monster. Chris Chambers got his going over 1,000 yards with 14 touchdowns. The rookie White Lightning Kevin Curtis with almost 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns. Randy McMichael was really solid for a tight end as well. Defensively, Zach Thomas over 100 tackles, which is what he does. We got 10.5 sacks for Jason Taylor, 10 for Ogunleye, and 6 for Tim Bowens. Interception numbers, not crazy high, but at least, you know, the big 2 are getting 3 picks each with Sam Madison and Surtain. And the rookie Ike Taylor, we had played a little bit of safety this year, gets 3 picks as well. Ricky Williams wins running back of the year. We got White Lightning Kevin Curtis winning offensive rookie of the year. Looking at where everyone else kind of landed. Carson Palmer's a Brown. We got Andre Johnson on the Bengals. Anquan Bolden on the Jags. Jason Witten is a Raider. Defensively, Osi Umenyiora on the Chargers. Peanut Tillman on the Ravens. Robert Mathis on the Jaguars. In the NFC side of things, T-Sizzle is an Arizona Cardinal. Calvin Pace on the Commanders. Lance Briggs is a Carolina Panther. Willis McGahee on the Niners. Sexy Rexy ended up in Chicago. That would be cool to keep tabs on. Antonio Gates on the Chargers. Dallas Clark on the Lions. Well, first round of the playoffs, I mean, we have a huge advantage over the Chargers from a talent standpoint, but, I mean, like unlike, this is going to be Ricky Williams against LaDainian Tomlinson. Which running back can carry their team into the divisional round? And it is Richard Williams. 24-18, we get our first playoff victory of the rebuild. Ooh, I mean, it's Drew Brees getting revenge on his old team. You love to see that. Didn't have a crazy game. Ricky Williams on just under 100 yards. Defensively, 4 TFLs from Jason Taylor. Sack and a half from the nose tackle Bowens. Our DBs are making plays. So it took, what, 20 years? 23 years for the Dolphins have not won a playoff game. It took me 2. So we're already playing with house money ahead of the division round against the 12-5 Tennessee Titans. We have Steve McNair at quarterback. The late, great Steve McNair. They chance at the AFC Championship game. Damn. Just wasn't our time. Wasn't even close. Huh. Damn. But we got our first playoff win. That's a big step for the Dolphins. The defense remained the same offensively. No dev trade increase for Drew Brees, who I think was on the cusp, probably, of going from normal up to a star. But we did get the big superstar increase on your offensive rookie of the year, White Lightning, Kevin Curtis. And he needs it. He was an older rookie at 25 years old. So his prime is obviously considerably shorter than if we got a 20 or 21-year-old. So it's good to get that dev trade now so we can maximize his prime while he has it. Very quick look at the 2024 mock draft, seeing where some of the big names go. We got Sean Taylor going to the Bengals, Larry Fitzgerald to the Texans, Eli Manning's a Bronco, Vince Wilfork going to the Cardinals. I mean, for our team, we need like a little bit of everything. Like, our roster is far from complete. Ben Roethlisberger going to the Steelers would be kind of funny to actually see how that actually plays out. Vernon Carey was the actual pick of the Miami Dolphins, and he looks like he's going to be out of range. We have Phillip Rivers also going to the Chargers. I'll be honest, if this could be a scenario where Phillip Rivers ends up in the Chargers, Drew Brees gets traded, I thought when we seen the Chargers in the playoffs, there was no chance. That's kind of awesome, man. Drew Brees ends up with the Chargers. Big Ben ends up with the Steelers. We're going, you know, we just got to hope someone falls out. Like, you know, BPA in the second round, we got to be aggressive because this is still another year that Drew Brees is our first round pick. So with our house rules in effect, we have to pick a player within the top 89. And we have multiple positions that we need to get better. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to take whoever I've heard of. Sean Phillips is a pass rusher. He was pretty dang good. Darryl Smith at linebacker was a tackle machine for the Jags back in the day. We got Sean Locklear. I do need O-line help in a pretty bad way. He had a pretty good pro day. I mean, yeah. I mean, what do we got here? Darryl Smith, A-zone coverage, B pursuit. Or we take a look at Sean Phillips, who's a pass rusher. I mean, I think all things equal here, I feel like I'd be looking. I mean, I think we try to build this thing in the trenches. Sean Locklear is going to be our pick. 72 in true value at 59. No dev trade either. We got Will Allen at safety in the third round. Heard of him. Honestly, that's why we're picking him. I heard of him, and we had Ike Taylor kind of playing out of position as a safety because our safeties were so bad. And, I mean, he might need a little bit of a haircut here. But maybe not a brutal rating, as the true value was pretty good. This is the one pick that we were able to I'm going to get him in the fourth round just in case he goes. Wes Welker was a UDFA from this class. He went to camp with the Chargers, got released out of camp, got picked up by the Dolphins, and spent his rookie year with the Dolphins. Ergo, he's fair. He's absolute fair game. He needs a haircut, but there we go. Wes Welker, Kevin Curtis, our own version of the exciting whites here on the Dolphins. Sixth round, we need a punter. We get Donnie Bag of Bones Jones, Super Bowl winning punter from the Philadelphia Eagles. He rolls with a dev trade as well. So we got a mixed bag from our draft here. No first round pick. And into our bunch of day 3 picks. I just kind of went profile picture. So hits and misses, 62 on Wells, 69 on Tyson Clabo, 71 on Tommy Kelly, 58 on Jeremy Kane, and 75 on Donnie Bag of Bones Jones. But the big hits, I mean, second round, Locklear, 68, could be worse. 70 on Will Allen, could be worse. Both normal devs kind of stings. But the belle of the ball from this class is clearly Wes Welker, who needs a haircut. Damn it, the Chargers just couldn't do it. They had to get J.P. Lossman instead of Phillip Rivers. Come on. Maybe that's because haircut needing Phillip Rivers went to the Steelers. And Big Ben went to the Jags. Okay, interesting. On the midway point of year number 3, the 2004 season, our Dolphins 5-4. Not a particularly great trajectory right now, but we are second in the AFC East, and you look at it, defense is top 10, run game top 5, offense almost top 10, so, you know, maybe just a tough string of games. 2-game losing streak doesn't help. Our contracts are going to bring back veteran Brock Marion on a 1-year deal. We're going to bring a Gunulay back on a 3-year deal. Less of his prime, locked in. A 4-year deal for Zach Thomas. He is going to retire a Dolphin. 6 years, $350 million for Drew Brees. Baby steps. Let's get him off that normal dev trait this year. And then of year number 3, we go 10-7, which, you know, 2 games worse, but we weren't great at the midseason point. Happy to make the playoffs. Happy to have an opportunity. We have a top 5 offense. The run game, I mean, Ricky Williams is getting up there in age, slowly but surely. You know, the death sentence that is a 30-year-old running back. So we're working on our defense dropped off, man. We had a very good defense last year. This year, meh. Drew Brees, top 10 in touchdowns, almost top 10 in yards. Again, I mean, he's right on that cusp of getting a dev trade increase. Ricky Williams, 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, still awesome. And I think Drew Brees, man, with those total yards, that's over 40 touchdowns. I don't want to say it's a lock for a dev trade, but I'd love to see a dev trade there. Kevin Curtis, 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns for the reigning Offensive Rookie of the Year. 1,005 for Chris Chambers, 9-9 for Wes Welker. We got decent production there out of Randy McMichael. Ricky Williams with 7 touchdowns and 400 yards, giving him well over 20 on the year. And Wes Welker, the dev trade was great, as he is a superstar dev. On the defensive side of the ball, Zach Thomas continues to be a tackle machine. We got 11.5 sacks, Jason Taylor, 8.5 Agunlier, 7.5 from the rookie Tommy Kelly. Played his ass off, 21 TFLs from Tim Bowens, and we get 5 picks from Sam Madison. Ricky Williams is our only award winner, winning both running back and offensive player of the year. From the rookie standpoint, we saw Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, where these guys were going. Eli Manning is a Denver Bronco. That's interesting. Defensively, Vilma on the Colts. Tommy Kelly making the top 5, which I do like to see. In the NFC side, come on, we're the big names. Jared Allen is a Ram. Vince Wilfork is a Cardinal. Offensively, we got Steven Jackson going to the Carolina Panthers. Okay, cool. It's never a bad time, man, when you're in the playoffs and you get a divisional rival. It just adds fuel to that fire. The fact is our team's inconsistent, to say the least, this year. I did not have much hope and or expectations. We lose an absolute shootout. This Drew Bledsoe outduels Drew Brees in that matchup. Agunlier gets Defensive Player of the Week. But defense was terrible for the most part. Almost giving up 40 points. Can't do that. As we cleared our lockers, we did get our bare minimum goal this year, which was Drew Brees off his normal dev trait. 40 touchdowns in less than 10 turnovers. We'll get you that every single year. No other dev traits up or down, but we do have our little exciting whites of Kevin Curtis and Wes Welker as their superstars. Locklear started as a 68, ends as our starting left tackle in a 75, so that ends up being a pretty decent pick, all things considered, for not having a first-round pick, and I am very much looking forward to this upcoming draft, the 2005 draft being the first draft. And we do have a first-round pick in this rebuild, but defensively, Surtain loses his superstar dev, which is a definite bummer, and you know, I think actually Bones gained one. He was normal. But for the most part, I mean, I think that, you know, where are we going to need to invest this pick? It kind of feels like it might need to be on the defensive side. I don't know yet. We got to get a little bit younger, I think, on the defense. Take a look at the final 2005 mock draft. We are currently, it's nice having a first round pick. Mocked getting something known as a Travis Johnson. Absolutely not. We are picking late, so we're going to be missing out on the Roddy Whites and the DeMarcus Wares. And Ronnie Brown was the actual first round pick. Remember Ronnie Brown? Remember the Wildcat offense? We are simply just not going to have a chance to bring him in. We got Aaron Rodgers going to the Baltimore Ravens. We'll try and figure it out. Wasn't a great draft anyway historically for the Dolphins. For me to like, there's no Wes Welkers this year either. So for our team, our biggest need was guard across the board. And we're going to break the rules, the house rules, just a little bit here. I mean, we could wait for Chris Myers, who we have scouted as a first-round guard. I believe he played center for the Texans for the longest time. Logan Mankins, like for our house rules, to pick him within 32 picks, makes the most sense. But we've already used Logan Mankins. We drafted him in the Chicago Bears, our first 20-year rebuild. He was an X-factor. So I'm going to, like, not cheese myself. I'm going to go grab the next best guard that we have scouted that's closest to the pick, and that is an Eagle great in Evan Mathis. And he ends up being, and he absolutely needs a considerable haircut. But number 14 in true value. Let's go. Day one starter at guard. Our next pick of the second round could be in like the top 80-ish selections. You got Frank the Tank there, Frank Gore. We actually have Kirk Morrison. Ooh, Richie Incognito. He actually spent the bullying incident that he recently just got cleared of. This is the Canadian OJ Atagwe. Okay, we're not even going to think twice about this. We're going to go heavy on the offensive line. Richie can play guard and or center. Needs a significant haircut as well. Remember I said there was no legends? I'm glad I caught this because I was just getting ready to be like, I'm going to sim it out. There's no one left. From Canada, from the CFL. Let's go. So take a look at our draft recap. Ends up being an interesting one. A lot of picks here, like Dreesenberger, Blackbird, and Farewell are all made just because they had portraits in game. But Cam Wake bringing back a Dolphin legend, 72 in the 5th round, is obviously going to be insane value. And there is absolutely going to be likely a guy that we got to find a way to get him on the field. And then 2 75s, Evan Mathis and Richie Incognito. Build up them trenches, man. It's unsexy picks. But those are the kind of picks that when those guys fully develop, I think that's how our offense gets taken to there. Plus, we're a run-first team with Ricky Williams. It runs through him. This could be, we've been doing and putting up top 5 to S tier, multiple 1, 2, 3 running backs of the year performances with a not great offensive line. Getting pieces like this, getting high-ceiling players should only make life easier for Ricky Williams. Year number 4 of the 2005 regular season, and we are 500 coming out of our bye. Our individual ranks, the passing yards, kind of stinks. Everything else, points ain't bad. Rush game, back where it needs to be. Defense has turned it around. I think the addition of Cam Wake, big reason for that. Our contract's going to bring Greenwood back. Good role player for a 3-year deal. Nothing too expensive. Like $28 million. We got Jason Taylor on a 3-year deal. Hopefully having him retire as a Miami Dolphin. And he's a great mentor to Cam Wake as a true successor in a couple years' time. We get Rainier Michael on a 4-year deal. He's been real productive, real consistent at the tight end spot. With the X Factor, Sam Madison on a 2-year deal, coming off a 5 pick. He's aging like a fine wine. 5 picks last season. Hopefully we get 6 this year at 31 years old. I think the only contract we're not going to go after, and this is because of Kevin Curtis Henry's prime and the addition of Wes Welker, those guys can lead our wide receiver room. Chambers has been solid, but at 27, he's looking for the final payday of his career. 126 mil. For a guy that's kind of just been getting over 1,000 yards, it's replaceable production, not $126 million production. 126, I need to have optimism that you're going to get better than a star dev, which I don't, and I need you to see to be 1,500 yards, 15 plus touchdowns. I don't think Chambers is that guy. And then number 4, we go 10-7, the same record that we had a year ago. However, how we got here is better across the board. Top 10 offense, number 1 rushing team, top 5 overall defense. As only you would imagine Nick Saban. As you can see right there, Ricky Williams, number 1 in touchdowns and yards. Drew Brees was solid. I mean, we're not gonna lie, kind of made this trade hoping that we'd get like a little bit closer to like the Saints Drew Brees. Not necessarily the case. Maybe that's a little bit to do with the scheme, I imagine. But I mean, not a bad year either. 4,000 yards, 32 total touchdowns. Probably wouldn't want to go much lower than that for being a $300 million quarterback. Ricky Williams, 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, absolute legend. We got 1,400 yards on 103 catches, 10 tutties for Wes Welker, who's thriving in the slot. Chris Chambers, final year with the Dolphins, just under 1,000 yards, 7-7 from White Lightning. Decent production from Randy McMichael. I'm going to be honest, though. I think if I had to, like, show regret for one contract, I think Randy McMichael, that was a lot of money, man, for a tight end that I don't know. Tommy Kelly leads the team. Man, our sacks fell off the face of the earth. How is this a top 5 defense? Brutal. We got 2 award winners. One, Ricky Williams winning running back of the year. It's kind of been a foregone conclusion. And Orlando Mare gets kicker of the year. Quickly with the rookies, Aaron Rodgers goes to the Ravens. Else they're too crazy defensively. Derek Johnson to the Browns. Sean Merriman lights out to the Raiders. Cam Wake making the top 10. It's more of a sympathy vote, I think. Thomas Davis Sr. on the Detroit Lions. Trent Gold goes to the Vikings. DeMarcus Ware on the Bears. Justin Tuck on the Seahawks. Offensively, Vincent Jackson goes to the Dallas Cowboys. Ronnie Brown, a Commander. Darren Sproles, a Falcon. Roddy White, a Ram. And Frank Gore, a Ram. So the first round, we get the Peyton Manning-led Indianapolis Colts. They still have Edgerrin James, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison. They're still pretty good. They're old. Fuck's sakes, man. I know it's come down to our schemes. We got the Giants offense, which is dog shit. Commanders defense usually is consistent. But look at that. Jesus Christ, man. Come on. 95 yards. We look at a team, regression. Kind of expected in certain positions as Kevin Curtis loses his superstar. Both Evan Mathis and Richie Incognito from that draft class are star devs. Defensively, I mean, just pathetic showing from the defense. I think Cam Wake was a superstar dev, and it goes down to a star. Great. Well, I forgot to do the final mock draft preview. Looking at how the actual draft fell out there. You got Mary Williams going to the Cardinals. Reggie Bush is a Giant. Haloti Ngata to the Texans. Vince Young to the Chiefs. Okay, great. So Vince Young's going to be probably a real good thing here if he's going to the Chiefs. That'll be something we have to deal with. All right, so 2026 NFL draft. The real 2026 draft for the Dolphins. Very, very forgettable. Literally, I don't know any of these guys. They got something named Jason Allen, a DB in the first round, who had 15 picks in his career. Okay. I don't think he ever had more than 3 with the Dolphins. Never heard of this guy in my life. Okay, well, let's make the most of it. Get a look for a pick in the top 53. Just for house rules' sake. Reese Jones-Drew, got Devin Hester, got Andrew Whitworth, Tim Jennings, Bernard Pollard at safety. Fasano was a tight end for the Dolphins for a minute. You got Brandon Marshall. We've already used Brandon Marshall, though, so I don't want to go back to that well just quite yet. Got Mangold at center. If we really want, man, we could probably get like Mangold and then move Richie Incognito to guard. Let's do that. Just because you get the luxury. It's not just I'm moving Richie to guard because I want to draft the center. He, I think most notably was a guard. So Nick Mangold severely needs a haircut, but he is top 10 in true value. And that with him, Incognito, Evan Mathis, that's going to give us one of the best interiors by far to build around for the future. Do have an opportunity here, though, to get a gem that we're going to overdraft. That's going to be Brent Grimes. And I know a little bit of Dolphin lore with Miko Grimes. We'll bring in Brent Grimes here to our secondary to get younger. He also, man, needs a haircut. The rare option haircut, I will say. But certainly he needs to get faded up there a little bit. But good to get our, hey, nice dev trade as well. So looking at our draft recap, we get 2 positions. Really, 2 for 1 with the first round. Because Mangold's going to go to center. Incognito will go to guard, his more traditional position. That's going to help beef up the interior. I mean, we just kind of went, screw it. My board was shot. And I went for Sano thinking he'd be solid. I mean, he was like, I feel like he was a guy that would get you like 500-600 yards a year. Maybe I'm wrong on that assessment, but got hosed on that 63. But then we get Brent Grimes in the third round, 72 with the dev trait. Then we just finish out by getting real player portrait players, depth guys, to close out the draft. We're now at the midway point of year number 5, a.k.a. the 2006 season. We are 7-1, without a shadow of a doubt, the best spot we've been at through halfway of the season. And I mean, we need to be, because this team's not getting any younger. Contracts, we're going to bring Pat Surtain back on a 1-year rental. The bad news is there really doesn't seem to be any middle ground with White Lightning Kevin Curtis to keep him in the building. And Ike Taylor, I mean, we did move him to safety, and he is kind of, making that trend. I mean, I think we could do that for that price point. But, I mean, the salary cap's getting stretched pretty thin. And at the end of year 5, we are in playoff mode. We go 11-6, so better our record over the last couple seasons. Our rankings are, our passing yards is disgustingly low. But we have the number 1 rushing offense, top 10 rushing defense. We're kind of winning old school. We do win our second AFC East title of the rebuild, which is good. But, man, oh, man, there's just, I don't know. I bet you all thought some way about Drew Brees coming here and thought he was going to play a certain way. And, that's the interesting thing of doing something like this. It's not always going to work how you envision it. I thought Drew Brees would be going 40 touchdowns by this point. I will say right now firmly that if we crash out of these playoffs early, I think we're going to probably have to fire the offensive coordinator and look at reinventing this offense a little bit because we're just not maximizing where our salary cap is gone to. But right now, kind of similar like the Philadelphia Eagles, where our quarterback's very expensive. We're not winning games on the arm of our quarterback because our run game over this whole rebuild has been arguably the best run game in the NFL. But Ricky Williams is regressing. 29. He was 99s like across the board. Now he's, 96 overall. Plays like a 99 with the confidence boost and stuff like that. But the writing's on the wall that this team is going to have to transition from a run-first team to a pass-first team sooner than later. Wes Welker, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. White Lightning. Not a good year for him to be holding up things contact negotiation-wise. Like, he should have took the offer and ran with it. Because, him and Randy McMichael, everyone not named Wes Welker or Ricky Williams, I think they're replaceable on this offense. Hell, even Drew Brees has been playing at a replaceable level. We can't because we paid him, $250 million, but from play, you got to earn your playing time. We had 12 sacks, Jason Taylor, 11.5 Cam Wake. Look, those guys are earning their keep. Pat Surtain, who we brought back on a 1-year deal for the veteran, leads the team with 4 picks. I love to see that. Our only award winner is Kicker of the Year. Sick. Some of the top dogs, Jay Cutler on the Bills, got Vince Young on the Chiefs, MJD on the Cleveland Browns. Greg Jennings is a Raider. Drew Brees' buddy, Marquez Colston on the Ravens. Defensively, we get A.J. Hawk, not on the Texans, D'Amico Ryans on the Jaguars. We have Devin Hester is a New Orleans Saint. That's weird. Elvis Somerville on the Saints. D'Angelo Williams on the Bucks. Vernon Davis on the Commanders. Reggie Bush is a New York Giant. Okay. So the harsh reality is this Dolphins team is getting older. Jason Taylor, Madison, Surtain in the secondary, Zach Thomas, Drew Brees almost 30. Ricky Williams is showing sign of regression. Like, the O-line's the only thing that, you feel real optimistic about, the way that we've been able to draft. This team needs to start winning, man. We have more one-and-dones in playoffs, and that's not even, the good one-and-done, we won one and then we lost. Straight up, just lost in the playoffs than what a team of this talent is capable of. Now we got a tough assignment here. We have Aaron Rodgers and the Baltimore Ravens, and Aaron Rodgers is in his bag, throwing to Todd Heap and company. Well, what better time than now, man, to go on a run? There we go. Look at that 21-13. Nice win. Respectable win. It is the veteran Pat Surtain getting a pick. Great news is that we need these two guys here to feature fairly heavily in the next matchup, as we are taking on Peyton Manning and the Colts, and it would be pretty good if Pat Surtain could go ahead and get a couple more picks. Help us get past it, because the Colts went 15-2. Now, we are a more talented roster, but they got Peyton Manning and Edgerrin James and Dwight Freeney and et cetera, et cetera. Top 5 in every measurable category offensively. They are really bad at stopping the pass. It'd be a great game for Drew Brees to be like, I know we run the football, but their pass defense is horrible. Let me air it out. I'll upgrade our team. We'll see. We've yet to get more than one playoff win in a single run. And it changes an absolute shootout, 42-35. And it is Drew Brees against a dog shit Colts secondary, cooking him 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. Now, we know the rating for Drew Brees is good. We know his rating and contract have not been anywhere near the production that we've got. I think we can all agree it's the fucking New York Giants offense that we're running, because we're trying to make somewhat a realistic coaching staff from a starting point for Nick Saban. And I feel like if we do ever make that change to go to a pass-heavy offense, Drew Brees clearly is capable of that. Unfortunately, I kind of said like we'd have to be, if we crashed early out of the playoffs, that would be all I needed to fire the OC and bring in a new offense. And we're going on a run. We are in the AFC Championship game. So I think it would be fairly harsh at this point in time to just scrap everything that has got us to this point. But maybe if we have an embarrassing loss against another absolute juggernaut, 15-2, the Cleveland Browns. We have the #1 passing offense led by Carson Palmer. They have a top 5 defense. They had Derek Johnson there. We just did the Browns rebuild. They're a lot better than where we have the Browns come 5 years into a rebuild. But I don't know. Does Ricky Williams have one more dominant performance in him? Super Bowl on the line here in year 5. Falcons are going to be there. Dolphins are going to be there. Ugly win. 22-17. And it is the ageless wonder, Zach Thomas. I mean, how do we win this? I guess a positive feeling. It wasn't like the NFC Championship game was any more impressive. Falcons just scraped by there. But 22-17, both quarterbacks protected the football. Ricky Williams, 100 yards and a touchdown. Love seeing that. Wes Welker with his big performance defensively. I mean, we made a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage. 2 sacks, Cam Wake, Agunlie, Zach Thomas. No picks or anything crazy like that, though. It's just, you know, I like to think positively. This was 2 very, very good teams that canceled each other out, and the one that made the least mistakes, or the one that made the one extra play, is going on to the Super Bowl here in the 2006 season. Looking at the Super Bowl match on the tail of the tape, the Falcons at 9-8. They weren't crushing it this year. We know how good Michael Vick has been. He wins MVP more often than not in this retro series, which is, you know, kind of cool in a ways. I mean, they don't look anything too dominant. I think we absolutely have a chance. Let's take a look at the roster real quick, see how they've been drafting. Am I worried about it? Am I not? Well, they got Michael Vick. Patrick, I mean, okay, just ignore some of the player portraits. Some of these guys need haircuts. Keith Brooking there. We got Algie Crumpler, Todd Weiner. Everyone knows Todd Weiner. One of the best to ever do it, Todd Weiner. Darren Sproles. Wide receiver, we got Peerless Price, Brian Finneran needs a haircut real bad. They got Miles Austin. I'm going to be honest. Like, where's the star talent? They got a solid team. They got maybe no glaring weaknesses, but they don't have a whole lot of game changers outside of Michael Vick. In my opinion, that's a one-man team. We stop Michael Vick. The Miami Dolphins are winning a Super Bowl. You know, in this Super Bowl game, we got to hop in. Look at that, man. The retros. Classic, iconic look. I think this is going to be it. I think Drew Brees. I think Ricky Williams. Is that time to Super Bowl, man? We can come in 3 times. Let's do it right here, opening drive. I'm going to mute the sound here a little bit. Slants, absolutely. Drew Brees always kind of had a noodle arm to a certain degree. We fire this one in. Kevin Curtis, White Lightning, going to be final year as a Dolphin. And they're giving a lot of cushion to a guy whose only thing is speed. And there we go. Nice little opening drive. Touchdown there. Defense comes on. Need Cam Wake and the boys to get a stop, which is exactly what they do. Low-scoring game. Ugly game. 3rd down. We'll cash in again just because I think if we can use this to propel this squad to go up 14-zip into the second half, I think that's going to be pretty good lead. Oh, let's go. Safe grab. Probably could have got some yak on that one. Just want to make sure we move the chains in the red zone. Let's go, baby. In the red zone again. On the 1. Oh, you know what it is. Last time hopping in, but if we get this, we're going to go up 21-zip. We got to feed King Richard. Ricky Williams. Oh, I wanted to run one over. Oh, come on. Someone beat me the cat. Ricky Williams, he's chilling. He's vibing. He's ready to be a Super Bowl champion. And we're going to go into the 4th. Up 21-0. Nick Saban's not going to, let's be honest. It's Nick Saban. Maybe it's not Alabama's Nick Saban in this scenario, but we know what Nick Saban was. Perennial winner. He would not have these guys blow this lead. Super Bowl chance, baby. 4-0. A 4-0 playoff run. Super Bowl win versus Atlanta. It's greatness. Nick Saban, Ricky Williams, Drew Brees, the trade to get Drew Brees, and then having the harsh reality that, like, Saints, Hall of Fame, record-breaking Drew Brees is not necessarily the Drew Brees that we got. And that's no fault of his own. That's probably the scheme that we're currently running. But I did not think after a couple, like, oh, Drew Brees is barely getting 30 passing touchdowns, that, like, this was going to work. And then we did. And it's good that it happened now because I think we probably have this year, next year. Like, that is our window of, like, our big dogs, our legends, still being able to contribute before they become a hamper to our depth chart, to our salary cap. I'm glad we got one now, and I think our team, talent-wise, even though, yeah, we're going to be losing Kevin Curtis, I think we're going to be just as competitive next year. Also, let's take your pick for Super Bowl MVP. Maybe for a confidence boost standpoint, we'll give it to Drew Brees. As far as depth traits are concerned, on the offensive side of the ball, no ups or downs. Everyone kind of just maintains, which is fine. Defensively, we have Cam Wake going up to a superstar, rightfully so, after getting robbed last year. But Zach Thomas, Father Time, man, unfortunately, still best player on our, most consistent player on our defense. But because he's 34, yeah. I think look at our roster as we go into the draft. Positions of need. We need a wide receiver too, because Wes Welker's in the slot. We need someone that can win on the outside. So that'll be a position that we try to chase with pick 32. Outside of that, I think the offense is good. Defensively, not a lot of holes either. I mean, a successor time for Zach Thomas. That could be in the cards. Getting younger in the secondary as Surtain and Madison are on the wrong side of 30. Also would not be a terrible investment earlier than later. As I just looked through this, oddly enough, this was a year that the Dolphins drafted a wide receiver in the first round. This is the Ted Ginn year. I don't know why it says he's Maryland. I'm pretty sure he's Ohio State. And Calvin Johnson, there's just no way. But, you know, maybe we could run it back with Ted Ginn if he's still on the board. So looking at the final mock draft for the 2007 draft. But, you know, this isn't always a for sure thing, but it'll be kind of cool. See Megatron end up in Detroit. Joe Thomas on the Patriots. Darrelle Revis going to the Chiefs. Looks like Ted Ginn is potentially not going to be available for us to run that storyline back. Yeah, Leon Hall there going. Greg Olsen to the Panthers. Patrick Willis to the Raiders. Adrian Peterson, a Texan. And we're just way down here waiting. Now, honestly, maybe. Ricky Williams has lost 9 overall points over the last season and a half. Maybe having a true successor already on the roster, especially if the board's just depleted, I'd do it. So at pick 32 as Super Bowl champions, we got options. You got Michael Griffin. You got Marshawn Lynch. We got Eric Weddle at safety. I need wide receiver. I did scout Sidney Rice, who had like 1 or 2 really good years. I think it was the Vikings. Like him and Brett Favre were kind of killing it for a minute. So, I mean, that's someone that we might be able to wait and see. Want to get younger at linebacker potentially. There's just not really many names to be had. I mean, those are studs at safety. I'd hate to just say, oh, yeah, we're going to pass on beast mode. But, I mean, there is still the idea of like just running Ricky Williams again. Can we still get another 2 years of Ricky Williams? Maybe. But at safety, I mean, we just re-signed Ike Taylor. Will Allen's the other safety, and he's solid. He's serviceable. Okay, here's what we'll do. If Ricky Williams has 2 years left on it, okay, more so put it this way. If Ricky Williams this is his final year, I'll draft Marshawn Lynch. If not, we'll go safety. Clock is running. We got to do it. We got to do it. There was 2 years left. I'd do the respectful thing and not have Marshawn Lynch sit for 2 years like Aaron Rodgers did. But we got 1 year left to Ricky, and he'll still be our feature back. But when it's time, we got a beast ready to take over as our running back. Because if we don't change our offensive system, this is going to be a run-first team. We need a star running back, and we just got that in Marshawn Lynch. Look at that. Perfect role for wide receiver. Sidney Rice is available. 6'3", 200 pounds, speed catching, 4.5 speed. More so got to trust the letter grade here. And ends up 33 in true value at 64. No dev trait, but the base rating will be solid enough to be a starter on the other side of Wes Welker. 4th round, get a nice pick here in Terrell Brown. Not gonna lie, I heard of him. Remember, he was the Niners was where he was best, but he had a scan. I was like, all right, cool. We need DB help. 76 in true value, 128. So it's a good value pick, not a great value pick, but he did roll with a dev trait, which is I'll take as many of those we can get. Had no money to bring back kicker of the year, 2-time kicker of the year, Lindo Mare. So we're gonna go and draft Mason Crosby. Is he wearing bling around his neck? If so, that's kind of hilarious. But 35 in true value, and he rolls with the dev trait. Take a look at our draft recap. Got some solid value. I mean, anytime, you know, 5th round is a little pricey for a kicker, but we know Mason Crosby still playing, still, you know, regarded as one of the bigger leg kickers of his era. 71, not too bad. We got Tremaine McBride. We got Terrell Brown, 68 with a dev tray. Got Desmond Bishop here, 69 normal. Sidney Rice, 71 normal. And beast mode. I mean, I hope we could just 2,000-yard running backs would be ideal. Perfect scenario. I will 100% sacrifice Drew Brees getting a dev trait by getting like 40 touchdowns if beast mode and Ricky Williams can run all over teams. As your defending Super Bowl champions, not hot, 3-4. Run game's on point, defense is solid, but I don't know, man. It feels like this team doesn't have any juice. We also have decent salary cap, but a lot of players. We have Todd Wade, starting right tackle, wants 15. Can't really pay that, I don't think. Tyson Clabo's kind of been waiting for his opportunity to start. I feel like maybe if he takes a 3-year, we'll go cheap and gamble that there's upside there. Lock Lear's developed into a nice left tackle, locked in on a 3-year, very reasonable contract. It's like $39 million over, you know, about $10 million a year. But now we're going to get into contracts that just aren't justifiable. Will Allen, solid. Drafted him, $25.80. Don't want to pay that much. Don't want to pay almost $10 million a year. Goulier's replaceable. Pat Surtain. I think just 1-year contracts, I'm fine with that. Band-Aids. Sam Madison, 1 year, 20. See, like now you're starting to get. I'm fine with this because I don't have corners ready to take over. But they're expensive, and we're going to have to find successors at some point. We got Tommy Kelly, who's developed very, very nicely for us. And he's looking for a payday, and we just don't have successors in place, and I'm not going to be able to replace these guys 100% in the draft. And free agency at this point is free agency doesn't even become like you can't even consider it till like year 10. Right now it is a dystopian wasteland of everything: pit, spit, and ass, and vinegar. Shout out Major Payne. Ricky Williams, this is gonna be very painful. We got beast mode, man. Everyone got a time, and like he's 91 now. But as soon as that clock strikes midnight at the end of the season, he's going to be probably an 85, 86. You know? It's kind of like, we'll pay Wes Welker. Gonna pay Wes Welker. Look, I can barely get even a reasonable contract on the books. I got no money. So, appreciate Ricky Williams. Absolute legend. But as soon as we drafted Marshawn Lynch, we knew that this was likely going to be the outcome. So, at the end of year number 6... as your defending Super Bowl champions, at least we have an opportunity. We're not rolling into the playoffs with a lot of momentum. 10-7. Mixed bag for how our team. I mean, I have very little expectations on being able to go on a run here, but we're going to give Ricky Williams a chance. Our team is still running through him. We got Marshawn, barely played, but spoiler, we have a successor in place as. I don't know, maybe some people might have thought he would have been an X factor, but I'm not going to complain. Welker, Sidney Rice, the rookie Sidney Rice, love seeing that as our wide receiver too, going for 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. He has his campaign as a 76 overall. Might have a chance at that offensive rookie of the year. That would be a dev trait up to a start. Defensively, Zach Thomas, he's another guy. Like, could this be his last year? He could retire and it wouldn't be shocking. Tackle machine. Of course, Agunlie leads the team in sacks as soon as I decide to let him. What the fuck is this? What the fuck? Those are my starters at pass rush. And they're just like, nah, we're good. We're actually just not. We're not rushing the passer this year. We also have no award winners. So looking at some of the names, I mean, I thought Sidney Rice would have a better shot there at Offensive Rookie of the Year. I guess not. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Patrick Willis, Pappas Lusney. Interesting names across the board, but like nothing too absolutely shocking. Megatron did end up on Detroit. That's cool. See that play out. Greg Olsen ended up on Carolina. That's also kind of cool. I mean, I think he was drafted by the Bears and then ended up as a Panther. But Man, not feeling good. Not a great vibe about this Dolphins team here. Our best players, for the most part, played like shit this year. So, we have Vince Young and the Kansas City Chiefs coming to town. Oh, we beat them 28-12. Let's go. And then Zach Thomas saying this is going to be potentially his final hurrah. Him and Ricky Williams are going to go down swinging. And then in the division round, we get the 13-4 Cleveland Browns, who I am upset that in this rebuild, the Browns are further ahead along than where we were in our last 20-year rebuild of the Cleveland Browns. Again, no expectations. I can't be mad. Meh type game. Neither team took control of it. And I think honestly the fork in the road right now is like, do we stay with this run-heavy offense knowing that we got Marshawn Lynch ready to take over? Or is this our opportunity to be like, fuck, man, can we try and make Drew Brees play like Drew Brees? Show respect to Ricky Williams as he leaves the team. We got over at 9,000 yards rushing, 101 touchdowns. Did it and was real reliable as a pass catcher as well. And he leaves the Dolphins as the all-time leader in rush yards and rush touchdowns, even though I guarantee Marshawn Lynch, by the end of this video, is going to want to take those records. I'm going to pick up the fifth-year option for Evan Mathis to start the offseason. Look, Ricky lost X Factor, lost superstar. It's harsh. It's the reality of Matt. I hate to do it as a former running back member of that club myself for the 1 year I played in high school. But, got to do it, man. Got to do what's best for this team. Speaking of doing what's best for this team, got to do it. Sick and tired of this fucking Giants playbook. Now, we did just get a God roll. Not only do we have Kansas City Chiefs offensive playbook, but he also has quarterback guru. I want everyone to remember this. When I say I won't cheese it that bad, we'll look for the next best option, which is still a very good option. We are going to be bringing on Seth Sutton, comes from a Vikings offensive background. But like looking at our team, got a new offense. Where do we need to go? I think wide receiver still on the board again early. I feel good about the O-line. Marshawn Lynch, ready to be RB1. And I think maybe better late than never at 29 years old to get Drew Brees potentially. We'll have the potential in this Vikings offense to, maybe play like Drew Brees that we know and love. Defensively, we need a D-tackle. Linebacker still not a bad idea. We've got Zach Thomas holding on. Lose a safety, which again, had that opportunity to get Eric Weddle in last year in the draft. But safety, linebacker, D-tackle, wide receiver. Those would be the big needs. Let's see what we can do in the 2008 draft. Now, this was an interesting draft for the Dolphins in real life. They actually had the number 1 pick in the draft. They went out and got Jake Long, who had a short-lived prime, but at his peak, wasn't a bust. Absolutely looked like a franchise tackle. I believe injuries kind of caught up to him in his late 20s, early 30s, but we're not going to have a chance drafting him anyways. Now, taking a peek here at the final 2008 mock draft. The Longs go, Matt Ryan to the Chargers. Our needs, as a reminder, we need a D-tackle, linebacker, wide receiver. Anytime we see any of these guys go ahead that are especially name value, annoying. There's 2 linebackers there that would have been real nice, and I thought they'd be up for grabs at our pick. Are off the board. Got Loft in there. We do have Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson and Deshaun Jackson are in this class. I did actually scout them both. Okay. Well. Okay. So at pick 26 of the 2008 NFL Draft, we got Chad Henne here. Okay. Yeah, actually, I think we'll go Chad Henne. The wide receivers are where it's at. We have Jordy Nelson and Deshaun Jackson. We got to trust our scouting. I'm not even going to say necessarily Eagles bias here because Deshaun and Marshawn Lynch are boys. Grew up, played the same area. I listened to a very interesting podcast with both of them talking about it. And I feel like if having them both here be the future of this Dolphins offense, pretty damn good. And also, if we went with the unnamed, if we just put it in that perspective, when we had Deshaun Jackson, and we didn't know he was a top 5, and we had Jordy Nelson, both looked like first-round players, I'd pick Deshaun Jackson 10 times out of 10. Second round, we're actually going to get a pick from the Dolphins draft class. I need linebacker desperately. And I was like, okay, well, I know he played for the Dolphins. Phillip Wheeler ends up being not a great pick. Third round, we needed someone that had a little bit of speed. We got Mario Manningham, number 65 in true value at pick 90. Remember Devon Best was the best receiver on the Dolphins? Yeah. me too. So all now looking at a draft recap. Wasn't a stacked class by any means. A lot of opportunities where I was just like, all right, position of need. Got your portrait. I'm gonna pull the trigger on you. I got Jermichael Finley in the 4th round. There was a point in time that he looked like he was an emerging tight end breakout candidate on the it was the Packers. Him and Aaron Rodgers did a lot of work there. We got Mario Manningham of Giants fame. I mean, had opportunity. I mean, we went Devon Best. Danny Woodhead was, not Danny Woodhead, Danny Amendola. Woodhead also was there, but Danny Amendola was on the board. Did he start in Miami? I feel like Devon Best is more for the Dolphins sickos that are still watching, so I had to pull that trigger there. But I mean, ultimately for our class, it's Deshaun Jackson. We have a, for sure, outside wide receiver 1 playmaker for the foreseeable future. I think could be a perfect fit for our new offense as we gear into year number 7, the 2008 regular season. Now we're at the midway point of year 7. You don't need to adjust your cameras, your screens. I just turned the webcam off for at least however long I record tonight. Starting to come down with a bug. Kids have been sick. Just don't want the huge spotlights shining in my face for multiple hours this evening. So we are here with our Miami Dolphins. And this is a new era. This is the Ricky Williams list Miami Dolphins. And offensively, not bad. Definitely a gigantic change where we have been the number 1 at worst, like number 3 rushing offense to this point. It is dropping off a little bit. We are in a slight transitionary period, but 2-4 is severely underwhelming. Got a little bit of momentum here with Drew Brees getting a Player of the Week performance, so hopefully we can continue to build off of that. Contracts are going to bring Zach Thomas back on a 1-year, $13 million deal as long as he doesn't retire. Richie Incognito coming back on a 4-year deal. Wake on a 4-year, $200 million deal, and we're going to lead that into the discussion point being we have Jason Taylor, Pat Surtain, Sam Madison all looking for contract extensions. And I think we're going to commit to pass rush over the DBs because we got Brent Grimes. We just drafted Terrell Brown, who had a dev trade. I think we have a little bit more upside, and maybe it's time to have that change into the guard in the secondary from the great Pat Surtain and Sam Madison and get younger there versus on our pass rush with Jason Taylor, where we don't really have a successor in place. He's still playing at a high level, and we need Cam Wake, hopefully, to have his breakout season. This year would be fine. Didn't think year 7 would be the year that we have our worst record of the video to this date. We went with Vikings Playbook. I've played a lot of Madden. Vikings Playbook should absolutely never have a 25th passing offense, let alone one that has Wes Welker and Deshaun Jackson as a member of it. So I guess the good news is we're going to have a decent draft pick. Drew Brees played fine, over 30 touchdowns, which has not been automatic for a quarterback of his talent. That's kind of shocking. Marshawn Lynch with a solid year, 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns in his first true year as a starter. Deshaun Jackson, the rookie, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns on 85 catches, and he is a superstar dev trait. Get a new number. We're going to try to, maybe we need to correct that. I don't know, or you could try to make number 8 his number. But, I mean, he played well. Wes Welker, maybe, a little bit under on the yards, but double-digit touchdowns. Can't complain too much about that. And Sidney Rice is a role player. Not too shabby. Randy McMichael's contract needs to get off our books. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. His production is not justifying the fact that he's probably the highest-paid tight end in the league right now. 200 tacklers. Greenwood in his final year. We just don't have the money to re-sign him. He's been a solid role player. Zach Thomas hopefully doesn't retire after another 100-plus sack season. Tackle season, sorry. 9 sacks from Cam Wake, 9 from Jason Taylor, 7.5 from Tommy Kelly. Decent, but not great. I don't know, fair to say, pretty much everybody on this team, outside of Deshaun Jackson, underperformed to a certain degree. Early award winner, and deservedly so, is Deshaun Jackson getting Offensive Rookie of the Year. Look at where the names have landed. We got Matt Ryan is a Charger. Ray Rice on the Bills. We have defensively Calais Campbell's on the Raiders. Keep Talib on the Raiders as well. I mean, Raiders had a hell of a draft class. In the NFC side, not much there. Defensively, Chris Johnson, CJ 2K is a Cardinal. Jordy Nelson is a Philadelphia Eagle. Jamal Charles, a New Orleans Saint. Damn, it is an end of an era as both Zach Thomas and Sam Madison retire. I mean, it's good in Sam Madison's case because we weren't going to be able to re-sign him anyways. So at least in this scenario, he does retire a Miami Dolphin. And it's not there, but Zach Thomas is and got to be the all-time leader in Dolphins tackles, so shout out to him. With $27 million of cap, we are going to pick up the 5th-year option on Nick Mangold, and I honestly think with the retirement, I mean, hey, you want to stay on for one more year? Cool. So in case you are wondering, if, I'm 7 years in, why have I not signed a single free agent? Is that free agency almost, I'd say 100% of the time looks like this. Or at least now, you are starting to have real players that Big Ben is a free agent. That's absolutely insane. But 98% of free agency is just misaligned portraits, old veterans, weird ratings, because for this series, I only modify the rosters and make the 100% accurate roster, and if the player portrait's messed up, I fix it for the team that I'm rebuilding. So as free agency goes through, and this is majorly generated still by players that are off the initial roster, it's just not in a good spot whatsoever. So as the only downside right now of this mod in its current state, I wait till probably about year 10 minimum to start dipping into free agency, because at least then it's been populated by the draft classes that we've had over the years. So as we go to the draft this year, where do we need to get better? Well, offensively, I think we're pretty decent across the board. I mean, Jermichael Finley might even be a successor in place for Randy McMichael as we get his contract off the books. I have no other real worries about the offense. However, on the defensive side, that's where guys have been dropping like flies. Our linebacking core is severely lacking. And as much as I don't want to come out and declare that, yes, we are going linebacker in the first round, it needs to be a priority. Safety needs to be a priority, free safety in particular. Jason Taylor has regressed harshly. He was an X factor last season. I guess we just should be lucky that he's returned for one more year. Writing's on the wall there, so we need a pass rusher. Also could use a defensive tackle. All right, so we have the 12th pick in the first round. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot to do the final mock draft to see who was projected to go where. But as we can see, at least for the top end picks, we have Crabtree on the Bills. Jeremy Maclin went to the Bucks. Oh man, this makes me feel old. Vontae Davis was the actual first round pick of the Miami Dolphins here. He was a very good player before he became a meme and known as the guy that retired at halftime. Of course, I scouted BJ Raji as probably my highest projected available pick at 12, best case scenario. But now we got to make a decision here. Whoa, okay, this is going to be forever something that's probably tied to this franchise. As let's be honest, Drew Brees has been better than average, but also below expectation, and now he's 30. Is he going to be good enough to get another contract? We have Matt Stafford here. I mean, I saw all the comments on the Browns rebuild where we essentially just went way too far with Eli Manning, and we went way too far with Terrell Pryor, and we're passing on quarterbacks when we should have known better. I personally think at this point in time, we see what Drew Brees can still do in this Vikings system, because we know the Vikings system. If you've seen my content before, if you played this as a Vikings team, you know that there's a chance that literally can flip a switch and Drew Brees could go 40 touchdowns. And then we're like, oh, why did we waste this pick on Matt Stafford? And in comparison, if maybe there was no one on the board available, I think you could just say, screw it. We're going to maybe even just do treat it like a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers situation and draft a successor early and let him sit and wait. We could do that. However, for our needs, we need a pass rusher, and there is a top 5 talent pass rusher on the board in Clay Matthews. We also have Brian Arakpo, who's an absolute stud. Didn't scout him, but he has elite speed, jumping, change of direction, acceleration is great. In comparison for Clay Matthews, just, yeah. Yep, there's our pass rush. Number 1 in true value at pick 12. Hell yeah. Within house rules, we can pick within the top 70. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm kind of eyeing in on Pot Roach, Terrence Knighton, because we do need a defensive tackle. However, at this point, a safety also would make a lot of sense. A corner would make a lot of sense. We have Ladarius Webb at safety, top 70. We have Louis Delmas scouted. We have Jarris Bird scouted. Patrick Chung's there as well. No slouch. But I'm going to be honest. A-man coverage. These guys were faceless, and I had no scouting. And this was player A and player B. I would be selecting player B every time in this situation. And because he does still fit house rules, Jarris Bird, you are a Miami Dolphin. He was a top fit for our team on the board. Number 25 in true value, and he pops with a dev trade. Take a look at our draft recap. Very, very happy with how things played out. Anytime you get the number 1 player in the draft, it almost eases things a little bit for missing the playoffs and having such a down year, as we're going to be able to bring in Clay Matthews, who honestly played off-ball linebacker occasionally for the Packers, but was also 100% more of a pass rusher. I think that's how he fills his role as a rookie. We still have Jason Taylor for one more year, so I think getting Clay Matthews on the field as a linebacker and then moving into full-time pass rusher next year. Absolutely in the cards. Jarvis Bird with the depth trade will start day one. We kind of finished out just more some name value. Got big-time speed and Cedric Pearman here. We get Donnell Ellerby at linebacker in the 7th round. I'm pretty sure he spent a coffee in Miami, as long as I'm correct. He's a pretty solid linebacker, serviceable linebacker, had a nice career in the NFL. Really good value in the 7th round, 69 with the normal dev. But year number 8, still trying to... I have no idea. I'm shocked. There's no other way to put it. I thought doing the brave thing of not accepting a Kansas City Chief offensive coordinator, going Minnesota, knowing that it's still pretty damn good. We're not pretty damn good. We're 3-3. We're middle of the mall. We don't have an identity offensively, and that's not a great spot to be at, especially year 8 of a rebuild. Gonna keep Evan Mathis back here for 5 more years. We got Brent Grimes locked in for 4 more years, the remainder of his prime. And Ike Taylor coming back on a 1-year deal, just so we don't have to worry about drafting a strong safety early in this upcoming draft. For Pat Surtain, another 1-year deal, but I think he's probably headed towards retirement this offseason. Same with Jason Taylor. And this one here, I actually almost kind of hope he retires, as this was a 1-year, $20 million deal. But if we can get 1 more year, I think Clay Matthews can still survive at stand-up linebacker, and then we could, have 1 more year of hopefully double-digit sacks from Jason Taylor, an absolute legend, the all-time leader in sacks for a Miami Dolphin. At the end of year 8, we were solid. 10-7. Not missing the playoffs, which is better. And our team is too good to be missing the playoffs. It's still just frustrating that the pass offenses never come together. But maybe we're just a run team. And Drew Brees is a complimentary quarterback, because we still almost have a top 10 offense. Run game's on point. Defense on point, as you would assume a Nick Saban squad would be. And Drew Brees is playing solid. Maybe not $350 million, but he's playing good enough that our team, as long as our run game and our defense is good enough, we absolutely can go and compete and win for another Super Bowl. 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns for Marshall. It's just very surprising, though, that our rushing offense is so high. Must be just down across the board if this is, in the eyes of the NFL, a pretty good run offense. Receiving 12-11 for Wes Welker, 9-8 for Sidney Rice. Deshaun Jackson with a little bit of a down year. Worried we might lose that superstar dev. Randy McMichael in what is going to be his final year as a Dolphin. Kind of just never lived up to his contract either. Desmond Bishop steps up, and he was a tackle machine. We got 14.5 sacks, Cam Wake, 12 from Tommy Kelly, 10 from Jason Taylor, and Clay Matthews playing out of position. But I'm telling you right now, this guy's going to be special. Superstar X Factor, and he's straight up just good at everything. 75 pass cover, 82 run stuffer, which is what we utilize him as this year. And obviously, when time comes for him to take over for Jason Taylor as a pass rusher, he is going to absolutely thrive in that role. But what a freaking home run of a pick for Nick Saban and these Dolphins. Oh, Jay Cutler MVP. Okay. Offensive rookie either actually goes to a Dolphin from this time. Now he's one of the best wide receiver recruiters in all of college football. Brian Hartline, who I actually think just got the Ohio State OC job. So good for him. Mark Sanchez is with the Titans. Matt Stafford is a Raider. Defensively, a Rakpo with the Texans. Brian Cushing with the Broncos. Clay Matthews there. Bird also showing up in the NFC side of things. Got Davis there on the Seahawks. Malcolm Jenkins ends up a Saint like he did in real life. That's, again, those are always pretty cool to see how they break down. Edelman for the Seahawks. Percy Harvin for the Falcons. Actually, can't wait when we get a rebuild in where he can run with Percy Harvin. We're going to make him incredible. I guarantee it. Shady goes to the Seahawks. Macklin to the Bucks. Well, the first round of the playoffs is the Battle of Florida as we take on the 12-5 Jacksonville Jaguars, who have Peyton Manning as their quarterback. Signed him in free agency, and we just can't get past him. 21-18. In hindsight, losing Peyton Manning in the playoffs, usually nothing you can be too upset about. But man, oh man, we are just not getting much out of Drew Brees, are we? As we get to the end of the year, Pat Surtain's the only player to retire, so we have Jason Taylor returning on a 1-year. That means another year of Clay Matthews as a linebacker. Now, take a look at the offense. Very lucky for down years. Deshaun Jackson and Wes Welker keep their dev traits, which is pretty huge. We are going to need to find a replacement for Randy McMichael, but we don't need to overdraft. I think Jermichael Finley as a starter, I'd be interested to see if he could just be a good role player. Their tight ends hasn't been prolific, like 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. I think there's enough talent for him to really put that to, keep that standard, that level of play up. Ideally, you know, Jason Taylor would have retired, and we could go Clay Matthews. But I mean, Matthews is fine. Maybe being underutilized, but no regression this year. So I think we just, we keep running it back, and hopefully this defense keeps playing at a high level. Bishop, after having a breakout campaign statistically, gets himself a dev trade increase as well. But at the final 2010 mock draft, we have Bradford ending up a Ram. Ndamukong Suh, Gerald McCoy, JPP, and Joe Hayden make up a very, very talented top 5. We got Des Bryant there. Eric Berry to the Steelers. That's terrifying. Demaryius Thomas on the Texans. Trent Williams on the Falcons. Where we're going, number 20. I mean, linebacker's not a huge need for the fellas. I'm thinking safety, linebacker, tight end, and it's a really good year to need a tight end. You'll see in just a second if you don't remember this class. Even though I was like, Jermichael Finley could step up, and then I saw the tight ends that are in this class. I was like, well, you know what? We'll see how the draft board falls. But we're in a good spot. Wasn't a particularly crazy draft for the Miami Dolphins in real life. This 2010 class, they got Jared Odrick in the first round. Not great. Koamisi in the second round, not great. Rashad Jones in the 5th. Like, that'd be the one player. Safety, very nice safety. I think we might be able to overdraft him, especially if the safety market, not the best. But we'll see how the board looks. And at pick 20, so that means we can pick anyone within the top 52 picks. House rules in full effect. So I'm just going to go right to 52. And we'll see where we're at. All right, so tight end, safety, linebacker. Could also look at D. So Jared Odrick is there, the actual first-round pick of the Dolphins. Got Brian Price, T.J. Ward, Linval Joseph at D tackle. You can, Brian Bulag on the offensive line could make the argument he could be BPA at this given spot. Taylor Mays, you got Marquise Pouncey. We have at safety Devin McCourty. We also have Earl Thomas. Trent Williams is still available. Oh, man. Well, okay, just because I had Gronk, top 50. No. Gronk and Jimmy Graham are in this class. I think Jimmy Graham in the second round could be potentially up for grabs. But, I mean, the safeties are the best players available right now. But I also feel like we have a great opportunity with Rashad Jones, who's a great Dolphin, and probably is going to have a good rating. Like, that could be our value safety. So I'm actually going to pause this for 1 second, because what do the contracts look like on the O-line? Trent Williams available. That is, it'd be a good year for Locklear to be like in a contract year at left tackle. We got Dunlap. We got Claybo at right tackle. So, I mean, we could, there we go. Both of our tackles are in contract years. Trent Williams on the freaking board. Knowing that we can, get Okune's also there, but Trent Williams, this is blind pick territory all time. Elites across the board. I'm not even thinking twice about it. Boom. Number 4, in true value. Yep. All right, so to the second round. Oh, he's still there. I'm going to do it. It's house rules. The house rules apply. Sometimes it helps us out. Sometimes it means we can't get a good player. But with Gronk, I thought we'd have to, accept, and we're getting Jimmy Graham. Nope. Gronk on the board, not even. We're running this one up. We get number 4 in true value in Trent Williams, number 2 in true value in Gronk, and this is a year removed from drafting friggin' X-Factor Clay Matthews. And then in the third round, we're going to overdraft a Dolphin grade in Rashad Jones. I don't know if the rating will be crazy, but I do think there's a solid chance he has a dev trait. 38 in true value. Let's go. So taking a look at our draft recap. Likely will be a draft that stands the test of time here. I'll be shocked if we have a draft that will be better than this. Late round picks, nothing too crazy. Got James Starks at a little bit of speed in the backfield, but Rashad Jones 72 with a dev trait, Gronk 79 with a dev trait, and Trent Williams 77 with a dev trait. Easily our best draft so far. I don't even think it's even comparable. So I do think with the young talent that we've been able to bring in, now that we're shaping up year 9, we got a lot of upside on this roster. So we're 5-2, and I think that's a reflection of how stacked our last couple drafts have been. But we have an interesting point in the rebuild here. $150 million. I do think it is time. If Jay Taylor's not going to retire, we might have to, push him towards that door, if you will. I think Ike Taylor got his replacement in Jarius Byrd. Sean Locklear, left tackle, have his replacement in Trent Williams. I think Desmond Bishop, great success story at off-ball linebacker. So I'd love to keep him on a 3-year deal. He's close enough. I could probably give him 3-year, 25. worth it. Sidney Rice, role player, don't need to pay for that. Tommy Kelly, that's a lot. Terrell Brown, great success story. Love to keep him on a 4-year rebuild deal. Get him locked in. Beautiful. Now here comes the big question. To Drew Brees or not to Drew Brees? That is that is quite literally the question. So we'll get Mango locked in, superstar center on the interior. Now, the question is, if we don't go Drew Brees, free agency is not a viable option. So, I mean, look at the quarterbacks this upcoming year. We do got Cam Newton, and I do think I remember last time we did a draft, Cam Newton fell. Well, if you don't go Cam Newton, there's Jake Locker. You got Andy Dalton, Blaine Gabbert, Colin Kaepernick. There's not much late. You know, I just don't think we can assume that Cam Newton would be available where we're going to pick. Because we're clearly going to be picking in the 20s. How's Drew Brees looking? Huh. So, I mean, at this given point in time, I don't think we need any more than 2 years. But this, I mean, it makes sense. He is first in touchdowns, top 5 in yards. I think we commit to Drew Brees for 2 more years. It's weird that he's finally putting it all together, apparently, at 31 years old, but we'll take it. And we got, on a further review, we'll also bring back Tommy Kelly on a 2-year. He's almost a 90 overall D tackle. He's not going to regress too bad within those 2 years, and it's just one less position we have to worry about in the draft. And then if you're number 9, this is kind of more what I wanted to see more consistently over the last couple of years, but better late than never. We go 12-5. We have top 10 offense consistently. Our defense is almost top. This is probably our best team overall since our Super Bowl year. Unfortunately, the AFC East was an absolute juggernaut this year, so we came 3rd. But, I mean, hey, we're in the playoffs. That's all that matters. Drew Brees playing like a baller. 4,300 yards, 40 touchdowns. His best season by far here in Miami. And surprise, surprise, all it took was the addition of Trent Williams and Gronk, 2 Hall of Famers, for this offense to get going. Marshawn was solid. Never really has got to the level of Ricky Williams in the offense, but, relative. We threw the ball a lot more this year. Those are pretty good running back numbers for a pass-heavy team like us. 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns to Sean Jackson. Almost 12-12 for Wes Welker. 9-8, just under 1,000 for Gronk, which is outstanding for a tight end. And Sidney Rice put up some pretty good role player numbers. Bishop over 100 tackles again. We got 13 sacks, Cam Wake, 11 from Jason Taylor, 9 from Clay Matthews, 8.5 from Tommy Kelly. Happy with those sack numbers. Interceptions, not the best. But our corner room with Madison and Surtain going over the last couple seasons, our DBs are in a little bit of a transitionary period, so I'm not going to be too critical. Somehow our only award winner is Mason Crosby, getting Kicker of the Year. An Offensive Rookie of the Year voting. Gronk comes in at 3. You got Golden Tate on the Jets. Demaryius Thomas, as we saw. CJ Spiller on the Broncos. Aaron Hernandez. That's a name you haven't heard in a minute. Ndamukong Suh is on the Raiders. Eric Berry on the Steelers, which is annoying. A lot of talent coming over here on the NFC side. Look at the defense on the NFC. What do we got? The 2-2 crazy. Joe Hayden on the Vikings. Gerald McCoy on the Giants. Des Bryant is a Cardinal. AB is a Commander. Sam Bradford is a Seahawk. Jimmy Graham is also a Cardinal. Hell of a draft for the Cardinals. So we got an absolute barn burner in the wildcard. Arguably the 2 highest rated teams in the AFC. Yeah, they have an outstanding defense over there in Vegas. So this is an absolute championship caliber game in the first round. We're able to squeak by 21-18 with a hat trick of sack performance from Clay Matthews. And into the divisional round, we get the 14-3 Carson Palmer-led Cleveland Browns. A.J. Hawks looking like a complete weapon over there. They get MJD in the backfield. This is going to be a very tough matchup, but not tough enough. 29-24, setting up an all-AFC East championship game. We got a Player of the Week performance double. We're taking all the awards. Drew Brees was clinical. Clay Matthews is on fire. So looking at the Buffalo Bills in this matchup, they are led by Jay Cutler, who won the MVP last year. They have a top 5 passing offense, number 2 overall defense. However, they have a terrible rush defense. So this could be an opportunity for Marshawn Lynch. Beast mode, have one of those signature Beastquake runs. The Eagles win in the AFC side, which is good, because that would have been a potential rematch. And it looks like we did enough. Hell yeah. I mean, it wasn't great, but 2 total touchdowns for Drew Brees. And it looks like we've punched our ticket to our second Super Bowl in 9 seasons, which we did 31-21. Both quarterbacks, kind of clinical. Didn't really take a huge advantage on their poor run defense, but it was decent. 2 touchdowns, probably around 100 yards rushing. Sidney Rice stepped up. Not a huge showing from Gronk or D-Jax, our 2 most explosive players in the passing game. We had no sacks, no TFLs, no interceptions. Very lucky to win that one. The Super Bowl has been set. Very good Eagles team. Don McNabb, 99 overall. They got Jericho Cotchery. They're the number 1 passing offense. Defense, not that great. And then looking on paper, we are a lot better. 90 overall, 95 offense for the Miami Dolphins. I feel confident that this should be our second Super Bowl. We're going to be rocking the classics. As always, Donovan McNabb, Drew Brees. Drew Brees always kind of had the Eagles' number. But we will see. Philadelphia strikes first. Miami has to settle for a field goal. Low-scoring game in the first half. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, let's be honest. I'm an Eagles fan. Don McNabb does not have a clutch bone in his body. Drew Brees, on the other hand, very clutch quarterback. And it's going to come down to this. Minute 30. We're going to go play-by-play-by-play. I don't need to help these guys. I've already got a Super Bowl. What can Drew Brees orchestrate? 9 yards, Deshaun Jackson. Boom. 10 yards, Deshaun Jackson. Nothing there. Nothing there. 3rd and 10. Come on, baby. 4th and 10. Nothing there. Okay. You've called my bluff. I will try my best to get you guys 1 first down. I'm not going to take a shot here. I want to hit that marker. Now, I might cheese this a little bit. I want Gronk running a slant cheese. Hell yeah. Okay, now we got no timeouts. Oh, let's go! Gronk again, 28 yards on the 11, clock rolling. Touchdown! Deshaun Jackson, 11 yards. And the Eagles have 12 seconds to get into field goal range. Oh, no. Oh, let's go, baby. Soak it in. Drew Brees. Now, hey, I don't want to keep reiterating it because we're winning, but Drew Brees has not been Drew Brees. When I made this trade, I thought we were going to be a dynasty. I thought Drew Brees was going to go 40, 50 touchdowns every year. It has not been that easy. We sucked at the right time, though, to have 2 pretty strong drafts, arguably 3 strong drafts, right? We got Marshawn Lynch, and then the year after we got Deshaun Jackson, the year after we got Clay Matthews, and the year after we got Trent Williams and Gronk. We've been able to acquire some outstanding talent, and that's kind of a benefit of us not becoming a dynasty because we're picking in the late teens, early 20s. We're picking at 32 all the time. But, I mean, look at that scoreline. That is not a high-powered offense scoreline. We made less mistakes. Don McNabb, classic, throwing an interception. Run game not on point. I mean, Gronk was outstanding. Never a great game when Deshaun Jackson leads your team in pancakes. Defensively, sack from Cam Wake, sack from Tommy Kelly, pick by Brent Grimes. Like, honestly, this is one of those ones you might give Brent Grimes Super Bowl MVP. He goes out on top. Jason Taylor retires after 14 years, which now means we can move Clay Matthews to be a full-time pass rusher. As far as dev traits go, a lot of good news across the board. Drew Brees, most importantly, at 32, we are facing some regression. I think he lost, look at that, not too harshly, but still some. But he does gain the superstar dev trait, which is very much appreciated for late game. It will help. Deshaun Jackson is now overtaken Wes Welker as a wide receiver 1. He is up from superstar to an X Factor. Trent Williams is drafted superstar out the gate. Gronk an X Factor right out the gate, which is a huge win. Going into the offseason, though, we're going to be down luckily at left tackle, which means, honestly, Trent Williams will kick over to left tackle, but we still need a tackle regardless. We're going to be down Sidney Rice, so another pass catcher at some point. But maybe, Mario Manningham could step up into that role. Defensively, D-tackle would be great. Feel decent about our linebacking core, but I wouldn't be against getting a linebacker sooner than later. But ultimately, not a crazy lot of, needs for this team that's going to be looking to repeat for a Super Bowl. Especially if we can get a tackle in the first round, I'm going to be real happy. On the rare occasion, we're going to decline the 5th-year option for Deshaun Jackson. We get a little bit of wiggle room salary cap-wise, so I do want to get him signed in long-term for like a 6-year deal. So the 2011 draft, one of the most overpowered drafts of all time. So if you had to make the argument, 2010 is like the one year in this rebuild series that if you suck, it's going to be a great time to be terrible. For us, looking at tackles, Tyron Williams was a late-round projection. I don't think he's going to fall that late. Usually these drafts are smart enough. We have Cam Newton going 13th. We were potentially gambling on him falling if we didn't want to re-sign Drew Brees. That does not look likely. Tyron Smith, he was, I think, 26th overall on the big board, but he's going 16th to the Denver Broncos. And as you can see, unfortunately, a lot of tackles coming off the board before our pick. Mike Pouncey was the pick of the Dolphins this year. Great center. He's going to be out of range there, unfortunately. But we're currently projecting it. Nate Solder, 4 A's across the board. First, second round talent. Would not have a problem with that. Big 6'8" new, and he'd play right tackle for us. So it looks like the board kind of went to plan here. So at pick 32. Oh, actually, no, it's not. Nate Solder went at 21. God damn it. Well, it'd be a good year to need a quarterback. Unfortunately, we do not. We need a tackle. We have Derek Sherrod on the board. God damn it. We have James Carpenter. This might have to be a scenario where we just draft, take a swing. And I don't want to age myself, but I remember making draft content for this draft. And James Carpenter was a legit first rounder, so that could absolutely be a direction we want to go. Wide receiver 3 is also a need. There's not much. There's not much there. All due respect, Torrey Smith, Randall Cobb. There's not much there for me to say, I'm going to draft those guys in the first round. So, linebacker, if there's like a real good fit, there's not at all, unfortunately. We can reunite the Matthews brothers. There's just not a lot of good selections here, fellas. I think honestly, we've had luxurious drafts as of late. I think this time we trust the board and be like, all right, A pass block. We know he's not an S-tier player at the end of the day, but he wasn't bad. Had a decent NFL career. James Carpenter, hey, not bad at all. 42 in true value at 32. No dev trait, but that's fine. We did have a down year from a drafting standpoint. Ended up, got some value here. Robinson has big speed. Addison's not bad. Mason Foster, nothing too crazy. Carpenter, limited ceiling, but, I think we've been spoiled. We have a Super Bowl victory to show how spoiled we've been drafting. We were due for, kind of a meh type year. So not great. As we look to defend our Super Bowl crown here in year 10, the 2011 regular season, we are 4-5. But we're on a 2-game win streak, so maybe we're getting hot for the backstretch of the season to make a playoff run. With $43 million of salary cap, we only have 2 players we need to re-sign. One is Marshawn Lynch, who, that's pretty reasonable, all things considered, $55 million. Now, Deshaun Jackson, oh no. Okay. Hopefully we get extra salary cap at the end of the year and we can give him a competitive offer before free agency starts because I do not want to let him walk. So we finished the year 8-9. I'm going to tell you right now, 27th. What happened between this year and last year? You're gone, buddy. You are gone. I don't even, what do we got? Vegas, Carolina, Detroit, Kansas, Cincinnati, Kansas City. Fuck it. We're bringing in there's 2 KCOCs. I'm not going to look this gift horse in the mouth again. We looked at it last time and said, I'm not going to go KC. No. Sick and tired of this shit. Our team is too damn talented to be that bipolar. And we've had one good year out of the last 5 for the talent. We've played to our talent level once. So I think changes need to be made. I'm looking at the numbers. Nothing terrible, but you can't have that kind of stat line for Gronk. You can't have that kind of stat line for Deshaun Jackson. In Deshaun Jackson's case, you can't have that kind of stat line when you're looking to get a $150 million contract. Wes Welker was awesome. We'll give him credit where credit's due. 21 touchdowns. Pretty insane. Defensively, Wake, Clay Matthews, Kelly getting after it. Don't hate that one bit. Interceptions, a little bit non-existent, but I'm not worried about the defense. Defense has done their job for the most part. It's the offense we got to figure it out. Hopefully bringing in a mind from the Kansas City offensive tree. Maybe that's the missing piece. Maybe we got to go full-on sellout to cheesiness to get this offense to play to their freaking level. I thought Wes Welker was going to be a lock for wide receiver of the year. 21 touchdowns. Nope. Third. Look at where the rookies ended up. Julio Jones is Indianapolis Colt. Mark Ingram on the Chargers. Defensively, Cam Hayward is a Titan. Robert Quinn is a Chief. Nick Fairley. We got Justin Houston is a Chief. Sherman on the Colts. So Colts and Chiefs really crushed the draft here. Cameron Jordan on the Bears. J.J. Watt is a Seahawk. Pat Pete on the Cowboys. Von Miller on the Vikings. And they got A.J. Green on the Lions. DeMarco Murray on the Bucks. Kai Rudolph ended up a Viking. That's kind of cool. The whole... Okay, the good news is that regression was only hitting Wes Welker. The bad news is somehow the only guy that was good on the offense gets hit with regression. Thought Gronk for sure was going to lose that X factor. We got, I guess, a one-year grace period. I thought Drew Brees would lose that superstar. On the defensive side of the ball, as far as dev traits are concerned, no dev traits up or down, which is, fair. Defense was solid, not great. We're going to accept the fifth-year option for Clay Matthews because he is going to be incredibly expensive, probably double that cap hit, so I might as well just get him for one more year. And our gamble kind of paid off here for Deshaun Jackson. I said, let's wait and offer him an extension at the end of the year. Now we're going to have to make sure that this is real good because I don't want to have to franchise tag him. I think I'll go 26 and 21. That's coming off a down year. I think that's more than generous. Well, congratulations. I don't sign anybody in free agency, so I have no problem at all spending all my money keeping you here for one more year. Congrats. You played yourself. Now, if we're just looking at our team from where do we need to get better and not so much from who's up for contract extensions because we know Deshaun Jackson's going to be up there. I feel good about the offense. Carpenter, our first-round pick's kind of the weak link, but even then, 75 going into your second year is not brutal, even though there's no dev trait, so his ceiling's limited. You could make the argument wide receiver 3, but you don't draft wide receiver 3 in the first round. But because we do need a wide receiver 3, and I don't know for sure that I can re-sign Deshaun Jackson, maybe we'll consider if BPA is a wide receiver because we need to get an exciting pick here. Defensively, linebacker is certainly a need. D-tackle is certainly a need. Could use a corner. I feel real good about Bird and Jones at safety. I think there's a lot of upside there. So, yeah, D-tackle, linebacker, wide receiver. Kind of similar needs to what we had last year. So looking at the board, that is. We pick at 14. Unfortunately, needing linebacker, Luke Kuechly goes 2 to the Saints. You have Andrew Luck going to the Colts. That's kind of funny. Corner, Stephon Gilmore going top 5 to the Bucks. That's another need. That's another player we would have drafted. Well, we're going to have options. So at 14, wide receiver, linebacker. RG3 is there. Russell Wilson is here. How's he a first round? He was a third rounder. I think we're still in a position now, especially with the change that we made offensively, to maybe second round, third round if Kirk Cousins, Nick Foles are there. I mean, I wouldn't rule that one out, but we got to go elsewhere. Wide receivers, you got Kendall Wright, Alshon, T.Y. Hilton. Well, we got to get players within the top 50. So Hilton's actually have to be maybe a second round pick. So I don't love the options at wide receiver. Defensively, we need a D tackle, which we got Fletcher Cox, Dontari Poe. Don't hate either one of those options. We need a linebacker. Might be able to get Levante David in the second round. I absolutely would. Bobby Wagner. I would go Bobby Wagner. We do have Dante Hightower. Top 5 talent at linebacker. But I think, honestly, Dontari Poe and Fletcher Cox, I think you run this one up to the podium. Fletcher Cox on the board. Top 10 player and true talent at number 14. Let's go. Damn it. T.Y. Hilton went 1 pick. And Alshon Jeffrey not too much further. That would have been easy. We're running that one up. That's brutal. So if we're going to wait on a wide receiver, you got Marvin Jones Jr. coming up. in this class. Travis Benjamin, I mean, good speedster. Mo Sanu could be an option. Nothing too crazy as a UDFA that we could draft. Yet unfortunately ignore the fact that Josh Gordon's in this class. So secondary needs, we got our D tackle. Linebacker. Oh, yep, we'll just run that one up. We're just going to go ahead and run this one up to the podium. Thank you very much. Now we're in the third round. Kirk Cousins just went. I don't hate. We have 1 year left of Drew Brees. I don't hate this Nick Foles selection. Now, this is my draft class. Nick Foles would be X factor. This is not my draft class. Still good value. 63 in true value at 78. And he does pull a dev trade. Hell yeah. In the fourth round, I mean, pretty good board. Marvin Jones Jr. still here. Ratings don't look the best, but we know probably over the name value. It's up there. Top 100 player. Got the face scan. Got the dev trait. This is the kind of class we need after coming off an 8-9 season. And a pretty dog shit draft class last year. Looking at our draft recap, had a pretty stellar class. The kind of class that we needed. Fletcher Cox, 77 with the dev trait. Levante David, 77 with the dev trait. Nick Foles, 70 with a dev trait. Marvin Jones Jr., 68 with a dev trait. I also drafted Rashard Matthews, who was one of the better value picks for the Dolphins for this real-life class. 61 rating, not great, but he also had a dev trait, so that's a nice developmental piece, even though he's going to be way, way, way down there on the wide receiver depth chart. But adding BDN, Nick Foles, at backup quarterback, to be the understudy for Drew Brees, who has his mentorship tag, which is going to give him extra XP. Levante David, who's going to start day one as a rookie. I guess I would say I don't know for sure what the depth trait's going to be on David or Fletcher Cox. I think if they're gold or red, as long as they're not silver, it will be reasonable. I mean, we needed this, man. Huge class, especially at two huge position of needs that we needed rookie starters at. My point of year, number 11, we are 6-2, and I think the offensive scheme change working out fairly well for the boys. As we are, we're rocking and rolling here. Now, the big question now comes with how we want to handle free agents, because we have $175 million, but is it the end of the line for old Drew Brees? We did bring in Nick Foles in the draft class, hidden dev quarterback. Drew Brees has zero interest in re-signing, which is a bummer. I mean, we got some tough decisions to make here across the board. I think we start with Deshaun Jackson. 5', 210, 220. Let's go. He's biggest priority. Bring back Jarius Barrett on a 5-year deal. Locks him in for the remainder of his prime. Cam Wake on a 2-year deal. Still arguably our best pass rusher. Highest ceiling, superstar dev. We'll bring Wes Welker back for 2 years. Potentially having him finish his career as a Dolphin. Richie Incognito brought back on a 3-year deal. You know what? I feel like Drew Brees is going to put up pretty big numbers. Let's have him come back for 1 more year. And then we can look at having Nick Foles. Nick Foles can understudy Drew Brees for another season. I think we only got Foles in the third round. It wasn't like we drafted Nick Foles in the first round and we're itching to get him on the field to justify that selection. We got Nick Foles because he fell to us in the third round as a developmental option. And Drew Brees plays some of his best football of this whole rebuild right now. We can't let that walk. Lastly, most importantly, maybe even more so than Drew Brees, Donnell Ellerbe. We'll get him back on a 3-year deal. He's a solid part of our linebacking rotation. At the end of year number 11, we got full value, I guess you could say, by our new offensive coordinators. We got them with the number 1 offense, but also we're 96 overall offense. We should be the number 1 overall offense. You know what I'm saying? It is, but it isn't. Chiefs offense, cheese. We all know. We didn't cheese it, though. It was a KC OC was available. It was time to move on from OC. And it just, I feel, has our 96 offense playing like what a 96 overall offense should do. Bad news is like that OC's probably going to get poached, and we will have to, maybe there will be another KC OC available. But if not, there's probably going to be some aggression. But look at that, Drew Brees. That's why we signed him. 4,400 yards, 49 touchdowns, only 3 picks. Might be MVP. Finally playing like Saints Drew Brees. Marshawn Lynch with his best year by a mile. 1,500 yards, 16 touchdowns. We have 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns from Gronk. 11-7 for Deshaun Jackson. 1,014 from Wes Welker. 7-9 from the rookie Marvin Jones Jr. And then Marshawn Lynch is like, actually, I'll also get like well over 20 total. Like insane. One of the best sim offense seasons I have seen in a very long time. Defensively, we're led by rookie Levante David, over 100 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 6 TFLs, 4 picks. Outstanding. 9 sacks, Tommy Kelly, 8 from Clay Matthews, 8 from Fletcher Cox, the rookie, 7.5 from Cam Wake on 16 TFLs. So, I mean, if we're nitpicking, sack numbers, INT numbers, not S tier, but I'll take that for the offense every day of the week. No way. No way. 1 more touchdown, 6 more picks? No way. Nick Saban gets his first Coach of the Year award, though. Marshawn Lynch, Offensive Player of the Year. Levante David, Defensive Rookie of the Year, with Fletcher Cox coming in at number 3. Best quarterback goes to Drew Brees. Best running back, likely Marshawn Lynch, which it is. So as the 1 seed, we get a AFC championship, but it's our best record of the rebuild, 14-3. Our first time of being a 1 seed. We kick off our playoff run against a very beatable Tennessee Titans team. What? 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 So we had one of the most disappointing seasons I think I've ever had. To go 1 seed, 1 and done. That's why we only signed Drew Brees to a 1 year, because even after almost throwing 50 touchdowns, his regression is still very significant. Damn. He was an X factor. We lose Superstar. We lose Star Dev. He also has 14 points. Of that, it's accuracy getting it. Luckily, his throw power didn't get nerfed any, but like the writing is on the wall. I feel like 1 more year of Drew Brees, and then, you know, we have Nick Foles as a successor ready to go. Good news is, wow, actually, I thought Drew Brees at one point had mentor. Must have lost it. Okay, never mind. God damn it, as expected, we got 1 year, 1 taste of KC playbook. He's gone. So what do we have to replace him with? We have Vegas, Carolina, Detroit. I want 1 more year. Because if it's good, we're going to lose him again. We're going to start our offseason by declining the 5th-year option of Trent Williams so we can get him to a long-term extension next year for our franchise tackle. Looking at the final 2013 mock draft, our needs, I would have, honestly, if somehow he fell, Deion Jordan, the Deion Jordan experiment, maybe that's opening an old wound for Dolphin fans. I would have loved to try to, like, just turn that around a little bit, have him be our Cam Wake successor. But for our team needs, we need corner and D tackle. So we have Hopkins, potentially the Panthers. We got Lane Johnson to the Cardinals. So looking at the corners, anytime a corner and D tackle go early, it's going to be annoying because that's really where we want to go. Sheldon Richardson at 16 was probably going to be our best potential pick. Xavier Rhodes was projected to go late 1st round. He's off the board. So that's awesome. We're projected to get Jamar Taylor. Actually, I think was a corner on the Dolphins. Ended up playing there. Slay's on the board, but I used Slay in the last rebuild. I want to probably show a little self-restraint there. Damn. So we can draft anybody within the top 60 with our house rules. Which means Honey Badger could be up for grabs. We also, let's see what we got. I mean, I'm not going to say it's 100%. That's where we have to go. But knowing that I already drafted Slay, and he's the obvious selection. I mean, good year to need, like, linemen. I think it's time. I think we bring in the Honey Badger. We're big. We're not breaking no laws. One of my favorite players. Number 14 in true value. Let's go. And then second round, actually to able to get a potentially great compliment to Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox interior pass rush. You got big old Brandon Williams, top 50 player. Just a absolute run stuffer. Ooh, I was like, all right, I'm going to follow maybe a little bit of the draft board the Dolphins did. I got Jelani Jenkins, who was awesome at Florida. 105 in true value, and he had surprisingly a dev trade. So to look at our draft recap, obviously headlined by the addition of the Honey Badger. Tyrann Mathieu, 76 overall, who gives us great defensive back versatility. He can play corner, he can play safety, he can play nickel. We got Brandon Williams to be able to complement right away Fletcher Cox on the interior of our defensive line. Jelani Jenkins popping with a surprise dev trade as a member of that actual Miami Dolphin 2013 draft class. We got Rex Burkhead as a depth running back. Rivera, I mean, that's a terrible pick. Just honestly here kind of filling out some depth chart spots. But the first couple picks, not too shabby from the Dolphins, who should be very, very good again next season. Especially with KC. We got the good OC coming back in. But we got to make up for how dominant we were to be pulling a Dallas Cowboys and losing the first game of the playoffs. Unacceptable. So as we gear up for the 2013 regular season, better known as year 12 of the rebuild, we need to win. This is kind of and potentially the last hurrah for a lot of these veterans. Drew Brees is in a one-year contract. Father Time has been a little harsh. Wes Welker's regression has hit. Richie Incognito, Evan Mathis have regressed, unfortunately. Luckily, it's not all doom and gloom. We have a quarterback successor. We also have X Factors whose best football is firmly ahead of them. But it's a good balance between young and old, and we need to win. Same goes for the defense. Our corners in particular, outside of Honey Badger, are regressing or at their ceiling. Cam Wake is at his ceiling. His best football is right now. But then we also compare that with the fact that we got two young superstar safeties that best football ahead of them. Levante David, Fletcher Cox, Clay Matthews. I mean, these guys here are still going to be very, very good, very top players for the next couple years. But I think more so on the offensive side of the ball, year 12, what better year to get our third Super Bowl of the rebuild? And what could be the last hurrah? 6-2. Not too shabby for our 95 overall offense. I mean, we're coming off a bye. Like, before the bye week, we were all top 10 and all these, but had a week off. And other teams that didn't yet have their bye have padded their stats a little bit. So we're still a very good offense, but maybe not the number one offense in the NFL this year. For our contracts, we're going to start. We got Gronk. Pretty much, 6 years. Lock you in until you're 30. Easy. Got Trent Williams back on a 6-year, $235 million deal. Got Clay Matthews back on a 5-year deal for the X Factor pass rusher, do-it-all type player. But unfortunately, we got to pay the big dogs. That leaves Evan Mathis on the outside looking in. $22 million is just way too much. Drew Brees, we've planned for this. Desmond Bishop, that's a little expensive. Brent Grimes, that one's a little more doable. I like to keep Rashad Jones, especially because he hit that superstar dev. Let's see if we can give him 5-year, $46.5. Done. Can we get Brent Grimes back on maybe even a 2-year deal? Let's go. But unfortunately, it is the end of Drew Brees. It would be pretty cool if he just said, you know what, I'll retire this offseason. And the interview number 12, still pretty good across the board. We go 12-5. We win the AFC East for the second straight year. We're the 1 seed in the AFC for the second straight year. Even if our numbers weren't necessarily prolific, Marshawn Lynch, second leading rusher in the NFL. Drew Brees with another spectacular season in which what will be his last 4,400 yards, 42 touchdowns to 8 picks. We got 12-8 from Marshawn Lynch. We got over 1,000 yards from Wes Welker, 17 touchdowns, 1,012 from Deshaun Jackson. Marvin Jones Jr. was solid. Gronk, a little bit less than what I would have expected given his production last season. Defensively, no 100 tacklers, but holy shit. Clay Matthews, 27 sacks. 20 sacks from Cam, 13 Fletcher Cox. So we had two guys almost break the record. And Clay Matthews absolutely broke the freaking record. Absolutely. And I mean, we're 12 years in. Plenty of other opportunities. Plenty of other overpowered edge rushers that could have set the record. But that is now Clay Matthews with 27. And Matthews ends up being our only award winner, winning Defensive Player of the Year and Defensive Linebacker of the Year. Looking at some of the rookies, where they ended up going, Keenan Allen is a Jet. We got Le'Veon Bell on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Xavier Rhodes on the Ravens. Honey Badger there for us. Nothing too crazy there. DeAndre Hopkins on the Panthers. Zach Ertz on the Bucks. Okay. So if we're one and done again, I'm going to be very frustrated. Nothing that Jay Cutler and the Buffalo Bills is better than what we do on a week to win. And we just are number 4 defense that averages under 20 a game, gives up 50. God damn it. Drew Brees' time here with the Dolphins comes to an end. 45,000 yards passing, just under 400 total touchdowns. Interceptions looking pretty good. Unfortunately, he's, I think, about 50 touchdowns and about 20,000 yards short of catching Dan Marino for the all-time passing record. But, man, oh man, if we could have got this offense on this page 10 years earlier, we would have, shattered all of those records. We also, had our coordinator poached. Luckily, we got Eagles an Eagles guy in here in Ortega. But we have to replace the Chiefs, and what do we have? Oh, nothing good to help out Nick Foles. Awesome. I guess Rams. For free agency, we're getting very close to free agency being like a viable option for us. I'm thinking probably another year or two because there's still a bunch of the old heads in here. Drew Brees goes to the Denver Broncos. We also, unfortunately, lost Evan Mathis, who's going to the damn Dallas Cowboys. So our needs, as we look towards the 2014 NFL Draft, we are going to need a guard to replace Evan Mathis. We are going to, Wes Welker. No, Father Time is killing you. But I think with Marvin Jones Jr. and we still have Wes Welker, there's viable. I mean, we don't need wide receiver, but if wide receiver ends up being BPA, I think we need to consider that. Defensively, another linebacker would be cool. I think maybe a younger corner, if that's BPA, would also be cool. Look at the available players. This actually wasn't a brutal draft for the Dolphins in real life. They had Billy Turner, who had a really nice NFL career. Jawan James, who was a solid tackle for a minute. Their best pick was Jarvis Landry, which, the board, honestly, we're probably almost certainly going to be missing out on Mike Evans and Odell. But if we could have Wes Welker retire and then Jarvis Landry steps up into that slot wide receiver role, that'd be pretty badass, all things considered. Looking at interior linemen, Trey Turner could be solid. We're not going to be able to get Zach Martin, but like Brandon Linder had a nice career for the Jacksonville Jaguars for a minute there, so that's who we'll focus in on these boys. So a big 27 in the first round. What do we got? Wow. Could be a fun year to get a bust at quarterback and turn their career around. Derek Carr, Johnny Manziel. I mean, Derek Carr wasn't really a bust, but let's see what we have here. At guard, we did scout Trey Turner, who's a first-round talent. If we can get him in the second round, that'd be sick. But Linder as well gives us another option. Will they still be on the board late second round? That is the question. Jarvis Landry off the board. That is brutal. So, 59. Any of these guys in the top 59, then we could take them stress-free. Nope, and nope. Fantastic. So abiding by our own house rules, that we said we have to make a selection within the top 59 picks in the first round. Would have loved Jarvis Landry. We got to look elsewhere. Not ideal. There's no other way to put it. Not ideal at all. Don't need a safety. We might just go Richburg at center to have the interior help. Might have to play him at guard if in a pinch. There's just no one else there. Damn it. All right. Oh, God damn it. At least we can come back here and get Trey Turner in the second round, still on the board. Legitimate first round talent, 21 in true value. No dev trade. So the draft as a whole, a little bit of a dud. The board of the first round, house rules, etc., etc. Yep, Richburg at 68, not ideal, but we were at least able to get Trey Turner in the second round. No dev trade, but 73 overall, one of the better players in this class. Rest of it, we got Lewis Nix, who was a stud at Notre Dame. We got Isaiah Crowell in the 7th round. Had a real nice, minute with the Cleveland Browns. But all in all, not an ideal class coming off 2 dominant seasons where we have yet to win a playoff game in this stretch. And then we followed up with a pretty mid draft. Year 13 of a rebuild, the 2014 regular season. It is now the Nick Foles era here in Miami. Unfortunately, as well, there's going to be an offensive coordinator change, which I don't know necessarily the impact that is going to have, but I'm cautiously optimistic that we'll be able to figure it out. Likely will be the final year for Wes Welker, who currently stands as the all-time leader in receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns in a career for the Dolphins. We have Trey Turner, the rookie, will be getting a start at left guard. But it's still an overpowered offense. We still should be able to rely on the run game. And I'm optimistic that Nick Foles is going to chuck this damn rock. Defensively, feel pretty good. Don't have a lot of depth, but that's fine. We just need our starters to put it all together. Jarrisburg did lose to superstar dev last season. Same with Cam Wake. Same with Tyrann Mathieu. So these are a lot of guys that want to have a bounce-back season here in year 13. So I don't want to think it's necessarily fair with how good our roster is. It's called a transitionary year, but when you're moving on from Drew Brees and you're going with an unknown at quarterback, 6-5 can happen. Offensively, top 5. Passing definitely off of where it was. Run game on point. Defense is solid. Don't necessarily know if we're going to have 47 sacks from our top 2 players, but at least we're in the playoff fight. That's all you can ask. So we're going to bring back Cam Wake on a 1-year deal. James Carpenter back on a 3-year deal. He's developed himself. I mean, was not a hyped draft pick. Was very similar to like Richburg that we just drafted, where it's kind of like we took the board the way it went. But he's an 82, 25-year-old tackle. There's still upside there. Bring Terrell Brown back on a 1-year deal for the veteran corner. Unfortunately, I almost think from like a roster standpoint, we just drafted a center in the first round. So looking at Mangold at 30, looking for a decent chunk of money. I don't even know if I could offer him this contract, but if I did, it would put us in a, honestly, not terrible salary cap situation, but I think we got to trust the rookie that he can succeed Mangold, and we'll save a little bit of money there. We close out year 13 in the playoffs. 10-7, that's all you can really ask. The offense really put it all together down the stretch. Finished as a top 5 unit. Which I feel pretty happy about. Marshawn Lynch having a hell of a year. Nick Foles, 40 touchdowns. Shout out the Rams playbook. Let's go. Marshawn Lynch was solid. Deshaun Jackson, Wes Welker. Wish we got a little more out of Gronk, but 800 yards, 10 touchdowns. If that's kind of his floor, I think I can live with that. I'd love to see him get back over 1,000. But in what could be the final year of Wes Welker's career, still playing at an uber competitive level. Defensively, 20.5 sacks Clay Matthews, 18.5 for Fletcher Cox, 14 for Cam Wake. Happy we're able to bring him back on a 1-year deal. Interceptions, not ideal. Our only award winner this year was Mason Crosby, winning his 2nd Kicker of the Year award of the rebuild. Looking quickly at where some of the rookies went, OBJ is in the Raiders uniform right now. Defensively, Ryan Shazier's on the Titans, Kyle Fuller on the Bengals, Jadeveon Clowney on the Chargers. Aaron Donald is a Jet. Cool, awesome. That's sick. That's in our division. Got to deal with that. Khalil Mack on the Cowboys. That's also pretty disgusting. Mike Evans on the Eagles. Kind of annoying as well. Devontae Adams on the Commanders. That will be a big rivalry as the rest of their careers play out. So we're in the playoffs, our first playoff game under Nick Foles. We all know Nick Foles gets a little bit of magic when it comes to playoff time. But Alex Smith is playing at an incredibly high level for the New York Jets. 46 touchdowns for him. Their defense is pretty solid. We've not had a lot of success. Lost our last 2 playoff games in a row. We win 26-6. Our defense in particular has been the issue. It's not been Drew Brees. I'm not trying to throw Drew Brees under the bus. Our defense has been letting us down in these playoff games. Not today. Did not allow a single touchdown. Offensively, Nick Foles moved the football. Marshawn Lynch punched it in when he needed to. And defensively, standing up. 2.5 sacks from Clay Matthews. Levante David with a sack and a half. Cam Wake with a sack. Let's go, fellas. In the division round, we roll the 13-4 Tennessee Titans, who have the #1 offense in the NFL. Dwayne Bowe, Mark Sanchez. But the fact of the matter is their defense is really bad. And we are so much better than them from a talent standpoint. It isn't funny. Nick Foles, year 1 as a starter, AFC Championship game. We're getting carried by Clay Matthews on the defense a little bit. Maybe the best pass rusher in the NFL. As we are a win away from getting to our 3rd Super Bowl. But our first in year 1 of Nick Foles' era would be absolutely awesome. Obviously for me as an Eagle fan. But it just adds to the aura, adds to the legacy. We have the Bengals, who are top 10 offense in terms of points, top 5 defense as far as points allowed against. We did it. Holy shit, dudes. So Nick Foles said, absolutely not, Tennessee. Absolutely not. Cincinnati Bengals, you are not denying us. On going around is Nick Foles, Oat Duels, Jamarcus Russell. Marshawn Lynch had a huge game. Marvin Jones Jr. had a huge game. Defensively, look at that. 3 sacks. The hat trick from Cam Wake. 2 from Fletch. 2 from Clay Matthews. 1 from Rashad Jones. We get the pick by the depth linebacker, Mason Foster. And Nick Foles in year 1's in the Super Bowl for the Miami Dolphins. And cold or not, I'll turn on the bright lights. Let's go. We got Super Bowl. We got a chance. There's going to be Rams offense versus Rams offense. But again, from a talent standpoint, we really should be getting our 3rd Super Bowl here. Okay, quickly on our opponent, they got Jared Allen, beast, Carson Palmer. He's had a hell of a career. They got JPP, TJ Ward. Felix Jones in the backfield. Mike Will. I mean, not a prolific receiving core, but they got the superstar to have Kelvin Benjamin. Offensive line is no weaknesses across the board. Their defense, they got a hell of a D-line. Linebacking core solid. Secondary, no real weakness whatsoever. So it's not going to be easy, but from a talent standpoint, this should be a sweat-free third Super Bowl win in year one of Nick Foles as a starter. So we got classics on classics. Carson Palmer, Nick Foles, BDN Magic. Against the, I don't even want to say it's the feared pass rush of the Rams. I have Clay Matthews shattering the records left, right, and center. My pass rush is better than their strength. They have nothing on us. And we have maybe the greatest single quarterback performance in a Super Bowl in relation to their talent and career in Nick Foles. So we got a chance here, and it looks like everything's going to be on the line in the fourth. Up 21-18. We have to settle for a field goal. Rams insta-score, and our defense has to get us the ball back. We have a minute 2. Nick Foles, minute 2. Oh, no, what is this? You got to go 94 yards. Not even, I mean, get in the field goal range. So let's see what he can do. First play. Fuck. What? PI? Let's go. I thought that was going to be a pick. Usually yellow means pick. Okay. Okay. Come on, doggy. Oh, look at that. 25 yards to touchdown, Robbie G. Gronk in field goal range. What do we got here? Two-time kicker of the year. Reigning. This year. This year he won kicker of the year. Fucking shanks a 40. We still had time. God damn it. What? Come on, man. Absolute bullshit. 45. That's a chip shot. Two-time kicker of the year. Superstar kicker. Damn it. So for our contracts, we're going to decline the fifth-year option of Fletcher Cox, even though I'm mad as hell right now. He's a big part of the project. We will commit to moving on from Nick Mangold. The one piece of business I do want to do is, out of the kindness of my heart, we'll give Wes Welker and let him return for one more year to retire as a Dolphin. Now, I don't know how much Wes Welker's going to play as a 64, but much like Ricky Williams breaking all the running records, Wes Welker has broken all the receiving records. I mean, playing one more year probably won't have... I mean, maybe have a chance at 150 touchdown catches if I throw him out there. But I might hinder the offense. If that's how his career finishes, though, legend. Unfortunately, the first time in the rebuild, I feel obligated to look at free agency. I'll usually spend out of sight, out of mind, because it's just not how we're building our team right now. Or really, I don't like how the free agency is populated. But we are losing good players that I think it's worth seeing where they end up. And Nick Mangold lands a 2-year deal with the Panthers. For our team, look at the 2015 NFL Draft. Wide receiver. We need... I mean, I feel pretty good elsewhere. Nick Foles gets the superstar dev trait after the 40-touchdown Super Bowl run, which is pretty sick, but also he's on a rookie contract. That's just making the price that much more difficult to retain him, as we already have a very expensive roster. But as far as needs offensively, if wide receivers BPA first, second round, I think we consider it. Looking on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, a Cam Wake successor, legit outside corner would probably be pretty cool. So in the draft class, this is actually a year that the Dolphins drafted a wide receiver. They got Devontae Parker. One thing I've noticed, man, Dolphins suck. You guys suck at drafting. How many rebuilds? I mean, Jarvis Landry would have been cool, but this is our third 20-year rebuild. We've done the Bears, we've done the Browns, and now the Dolphins. And for the Bears and the Browns, felt like at least double the amount of draft picks where I'm trying to draft the hits that they actually took. It's been a minute. We've got a couple, don't get me wrong. Year 2, we got Wes Welker. Year 3, we got Cam Wake. Year 4, we got Brent Grimes. Year 8, we got Rashad Jones to an extent. He's good, but a lot of dog shit picks for the first couple rounds. Because again, Wes Welker, UDFA. Cam Wake, UDFA. Rashad Jones, a day 3 pick. As far as first, second round picks, you could probably make the argument the Dolphins are as bad as any team in the league during this 20-year period. That's probably why they have no playoff wins. So, I mean, looking for our team, wide receiver, we're going to be out of range of Amari Cooper. So I think for that, we shift our attention to the defensive side of the ball, where we could use some pass rush help. Not a lot there. That's making me say, yes, that's where we need to go, unfortunately. What about the secondary? You got Trey Waynes, Marcus Peters, Byron Jones. Byron Jones was a Dolphin, so maybe we can go that direction. Final 2015 mock draft. Well, that's awesome. Marcus Peters is going top 5, so no chance. Amari Cooper's going top 10. Can't even run it back with Devontae Parker. You got Todd Gurley going top 10 as well. So we work our way down. Byron Jones going 16 to the New York Giants. Trey Waynes off the board to pick 18. So we are victim of success here as we have to wait all the way to 31, where the board is pretty terrible. All right, wide receiver, corner, edge. Winston's on the board. Todd Gurley is on the board. Marshawn Lynch is 28. We can't do that yet. We have way bigger needs than like getting Marshawn Lynch's successor. Look at the available players. Just nothing at corner. Value is really at linebacker right now. But those, I mean, we can only technically within house rules pick within the first 63 picks. These guys are out of range. Now, Shaq Thompson at linebacker, maybe. Maybe kind of, sort of, but not a pass rusher. Got Preston Smith. Now, he could be, you know, he's had a decent career. He's got paid a couple times. The wide receivers don't look great. I think Preston Smith might make the most sense. And the wide receivers, I mean, Tyler Lockett would be awesome, but fortunately, a little early to draft him. We're passing on BPA. Todd Gurley would be sick. Jay Ajayi. Now, I'll tell you what, Jay Ajayi, that would be someone that I think I could draft, given the board, if we're looking at a replacement, but not in the first round. So we'll go, and we'll get Preston Smith, and hopefully he can learn a thing or two sitting behind. Can't wait for a minute. Oh, God damn it, man. Back-to-back drafts, wet fart, normal dev picks. And of course, the second round, Jay Ajayi off the board already. I just used him in the last rebuild, but of course, Daniil Hunter's on the board. Of course. Well, we have a tough decision to make. Jordan Hicks and or Quan Alexander, first-round talents. Could always get a little younger at linebacker. Looking at corners, just, I don't really think there's Bobby McCain. You know, he had a pretty decent career. Quandre Diggs could be interesting. But the best available here is easily Tyler Lockett on the board. Could go Stephon Diggs. He's just a little out of the house rule range, so I'm not going to complain one bit. Tyler Lockett, a top 10 player in the class with a dev trait. There's our Wes Welker successor. Fourth round, we're going to double up at DB. We're going to get Quandre Diggs. Also got Bobby McCain earlier. He was normal dev, but Diggs pops with a dev trait. That's a good get. Looking at our draft recap, you know, wet fart in Preston Smith is what it is. Kind of going to trust the board for as many OP drafts we've had. Now we're in a little bit of a lull, kind of breaking that checks and balances to break it even. But getting Tyler Lockett in the second round, 75 with the dev trait, is huge. McCain, 76, not the best, but Quandre Diggs in the fourth round, 70 with a dev trade is very nice. We got Taylor Heineke because we desperately needed a backup quarterback. And we finished with a new starting punter in Bradley Pinion. This is awesome here in year number 14, following up a Super Bowl loss, crushing Super Bowl loss, with a team with an identity crisis. We were very good offensively a year ago. Now we have somehow the worst rushing offense in the NFL. Huh. We got our contracts. Brent Grimes, he's getting phased out here. Regressions hit him pretty hard. Same with Ellerby. Incognito, like to keep him. Terrell Brown. And Marvin Jones Jr. look for $70 million. Now, somehow, Nick Foles is only looking for 35. This almost feels too good to be true. Okay. That's way less than the $300 million we had to give Drew Brees with a similar rating. Probably, I think Drew Brees had a superstar dev at that point. We get Levante David locked in for a 5-year deal. Fletcher Cox locked into a 6-year, $161 million contract extension. We'll bring Terrell Brown back on a 1-year. He hasn't regressed as hardly as Brent Grimes did. He's still an 85. And lastly, we'll bring back Richie Incognito on a 1-year rental. We close out year 14 at a 10-7 record, a ticket to the playoffs to maybe go on a run. Our offense figured it out down the stretch. I don't love that stat line that I'm seeing there from Gronk, unless the touchdowns are great. We won our 5th AFC East title of the video. Nick Foles with 40 touchdowns again. I don't know how we got him on a 4-year, under $50 million deal. Not going to complain one bit. Marshawn Lynch is getting up there in age as he finishes under 1,000, which kind of sucks. I mean, the offense has changed. The scheme has changed. Coordinators have changed. But I still thought at like face value, the MVP-esque numbers that we saw with Ricky Williams would be similar, comparable when Marshawn Lynch became our running back one. Hasn't been the case, unfortunately. Tyler Lockett in his rookie campaign as our slot wide receiver. 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns on the year, and he has a superstar dev, which I think is a little generous. I think star might have been fair, but I mean, I'm not going to complain. Seahawks fans would absolutely say he deserves a superstar. Deshaun Jackson, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, 8 and 4 from Marvin Jones Jr., 5 and 6 from Gronk. Now, I'm not going to say we need to put Gronk in at slot. I'm feeling like we might need to put him in at slot. He needs to be probably our go-to target. Now that Wes Welker's kind of got phased out. Clay Matthews is a freak. 27 sacks 2 years ago, 26 now, 15 from Cam Wake, 12 from Fletcher Cox. Our pass rush is absolutely disgusting. For our award winners, Clay Matthews wins Defensive Player of the Year off those 26 sacks. Also Linebacker of the Year. Tyler Lockett gets Offensive Rookie of the Year, which is a great get. Todd Gurley on the Colts, get David Johnson on the Steelers. Amari Cooper found his way to the Browns without having to stop in Dallas. Defensively, nothing too crazy there. In the NFC side, Leonard Williams on the Niners, Marcus Peters on the Packers. We have offensively, Mariota is the Lions' new quarterback, Stephon Diggs to the Falcons, Melvin Gordon on the Commanders. I feel like the Commanders have been stacking some pretty good picks as of late. First round of the playoffs is a divisional battle against a pretty damn good New York Jets team. We've seen them before. Their defense is actually better than our defense. They don't have a 26-sack pass rusher, which is the difference maker as we handle them. 35-14. Nick Foles is just a playoff performer. So's this guy. We have the below. Ooh, this is like maybe one of the most dangerous things you could see in the wild. Like a venomous snake. A sub-500 team in the playoffs. Oh boy. Led by Aaron Rodgers. No chance. No, we're not. Nick Foles got our back. Clay Matthews, Defensive Player of the Week, got our back. And the Miami Dolphins are back into the AFC Championship game against the 11-6 Denver Broncos. We'll show them respect. We'll upgrade our 57 overall tight end. I'm sure he's going to make a big special teams play for us. Super Bowl on the line. Back-to-back Super Bowls on the line for the redemption tour. The Dolphins. Let's go. 31-23. Nick Foles, BDN, 350 yards, 2 touchdowns. Levante David, Defensive Player of the Week. Let's go, man. Nick Foles, all he does is win. Nick Foles is 6-1 in his playoff career. That one L was obviously a bitter Super Bowl loss. We have a chance here today against the Bears to avenge it. Bears pretty good. They can run the football pretty good. They got Chris Ivory. They have the #1 defense in the NFL, led by Cam Jordan and Geno Atkins. Well, they got a QB, though. It's a QB-driven league. They got Johnny Manziel, Eli Manning. What a quarterback room. Heisman Trophy winner. 2 Heisman Trophy winners. Chris Ivory. That's always cool seeing guys like that kind of coming over. Darius Hayward-Bay. This is a land of misfits. Brandon, Pettigrew was a bust. They got Jake Matthews, Pouncey, Foster. O-line's pretty solid. Cam Jordan, Geno Atkins, Grady Jarrett, Melvin Ingram. They have like some no-name players that have popped off. Another bust in D. So they've really done like the complete, like they're doing like a rebuild, speed rebuild. It's how many busts can we draft historically and still be a good team? All right, let's see this, man. Come on. Can't lose 2 in a row. And if this is going to be a low score, I know they got the #1 defense. I still trust my defense. So they score, we insta-score. So we're hitting them with a little bit of our own cheese. Kick a field goal. Defense gets a stop. We're going on a drive. Touchdown. 10-point lead in the 4th. Our defense with another stop. As long as we don't blow this. Okay. They're going for it on 4th down. I mean, nothing. There we go. Number 3. Nick Foles beating it. 7-1 in his 2 years as a starter. A 4-0. We've run the gauntlet to 2 straight Super Bowls. That's what Nick Foles does. I still don't know how his contract was that cheap. I don't know what was glitched. Something was wrong. Paperwork came in. His worst agent in the NFL, Nick Foles. His agent, I appreciate him. Every bit of it. Nick Saban. We did the Dolphins team here because they had 0 playoff wins in this 20-year rebuild time frame. This is our 3rd Super Bowl and counting. Now, I don't know if Nick Foles getting Super Bowl MVP in this one. 2 touchdowns, no picks. Let's take a look. It's probably someone on the defense. If I had to guess, Clay Matthews. Gronk, 88 yards and a touchdown. Oh, my God. Yeah. Build the trenches. Cam Wake, MVP. Right before the free agency spot starts, Cam Wake didn't retire. Thought he would. You can't let your Super Bowl MVP walk even if he is an old man. 1 more year. So for our path to repeat as Super Bowl champion, well, we lost Marvin Jones Jr. Deshaun Jackson is unfortunately at that time. Now, I do think I absolutely will explore the option next year. I just want to experiment. Gronk in the slot. So getting another tight end. We're going to use Gronk as one of our 3 primary receivers. I think tight end and or wide receiver. If it's a BPA scenario, that's where we need to look. I feel pretty decent about the no-name offensive line we have for the most part here. I mean, Marshawn Lynch, he's probably, would never be too early to start considering at least having another running back in the pipeline, similarly to what we did when we drafted him when we had Ricky Williams on the team. Nick Foles, I actually thought there might have been a chance for him to go to X Factor, 40 touchdowns, low picks. But I will take my 95 superstar quarterback, no problem at all. Defensively, Fudger Cox is up to an X Factor. Rashad Jones is up to an X Factor. We feel pretty solid, all things considered. Maybe corner if it's BPA again, just because Terrell Brown is likely on his way up. Not too worried about the linebacker. Primarily run a lot of nickel with Jenkins and David out there. Anyways, so wide receiver, tight end, let's go. What does the 2016 draft have in store for us? The final little peek at the mock draft. This year in real life for the Dolphins, they got Laremy Tunsil after the gas mask incident. It actually was a pretty good draft class for the Dolphins. Laremy Tunsil in the 1st round, Xavier Howard in the 2nd, Kenyon Drake in the 3rd. They got Jakeem Grant in the 6th. Also, this was a year where Tyreek Hill went, and I think Tyreek Hill could absolutely be an overdraft candidate for us. As, we'll see what happens. Look at where some of the big names go. Get Jalen Ramsey going to the Patriots. That'd been cool to have an opportunity to get him. Unfortunately, he was elite coming out of college. Laremy Tunsil's going top 20. Miles Jack, who I scouted, 20. Ronnie Stanley's going up there. Who we got? Noah Spence, huh? Can't even get Xavier Howard. Got to get Noah Spence. Not much there, wide receiver. I'm not going to overdraft Tyreek Hill, but let's say if he's still there, 2nd round, I'll consider. At tight end, we can go Austin Hooper. Hunter Henry's still there for our whole Gronk approach. Looking elsewhere, there's not a whole lot of that's who we need. Kevin Byard, safety would be pretty cool. I think, honestly. And we got the quarterbacks are there. I think we just keep this pipeline going. We had Ricky Williams drafted Beast Mode to be his replacement. Beast Mode's now at that point. We get Derrick Henry to be his replacement. Fans love it. I think this is going to be the most fair thing. Because Tyreek Hill, like if we were the Chiefs and I'm doing this, I think Chiefs, I draft Tyreek Hill 1st round. Because things right now currently are tumultuous between Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins, if he's there in the 3rd round, I will get him. Because if not, I'm going to go Austin Hooper here so that we can go with our plan of playing Gronk in the slot, and then we have a backup tight end that can get on the field that won't be a liability. But if Tyreek Hill's still there, end of the 3rd round, he's mine. What are these people doing? Why are they letting me do this? I was like looking, I was like, all right, Tyreek Hill's going to go. I'm not going to get put in this situation. Yep. They want me to have him. So I'm going to have him. Thanks. Appreciate ya. I'll take Derrick Henry and Tyreek Hill in the same draft. Number 2 in true value. Thank you very much. And we got Deshaun Jackson, Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill will be Deshaun Jackson's successor. Deshaun Jackson is at that age where he just lost his X Factor just because he's getting old this year. I didn't want to do it. The league made me do it. They made me. I said, no, I won't get you in the 1st round. No, I won't get you in the 2nd round. But if you're still there in the 3rd, you're tempting fate. We end up Derrick. Now, I guess technically this now screws our 2nd round pick because we're not going to do the Gronk thing. We're going to get Tyreek Hill on the field. But, yeah. Defending Super Bowl champions get Derrick Henry and Tyreek Hill. 15, kind of mixed bag, which is fine. We've been mixed bag, halfway point the last couple years. 4-3, but we're on pace to be able to defend our Super Bowl championship. Here's the bad news. Got $13 million. Terrell Brown's a starter. Brandon Williams is a starter. Marshawn Lynch. I'm glad we drafted Derrick Henry. Jelani Jenkins is a starter. I'll be honest, if I can only pay one, it would be offering Cam Wake a 1 year to ensure he retires. And he might even retire and almost give it our salary cap. Kind of hope he does. Goes out on top, though, with one more ring. Year 15, we go 10-7 for the third straight year. Able to win our 6th AFC East championship. Feel good about that. Statistically, Nick Foles, a little bit of a drop-off in his production here, but acceptable nonetheless. 33, 36 total touchdowns. We got Derrick Henry vulturing 7 tutties to get ready to make way. Marshawn Lynch, final year at the best. Gronk in the slot is how we want to force feed for targets that worked out. We got 1,000 for Deshaun Jackson. Lockett there. Tyreek Hill, unfortunately. We might have just nuked his depth. We honestly might have just nuked him and Derrick Henry's depth trait to start with their careers, which is maybe fair, given how overpowered that draft was. Holy shit! Clay Matthews, 30.5 sacks, breaking his own record. We got 16.5 from Cam Wake, 8.5 on 17 TF was Fletcher Cox. Terrell Brown in his final year leading the team with 4 picks. But Clay Matthews, Jesus. What a cheat code. Yep, broke his own record. Cool. Clay Matthews is our only award winner, winning Defensive Player of the Year and Linebacker of the Year. Look at the rookies. Hunter Henry gets Austin Hooper runner-up. That's kind of cool. Derrick Henry within the top 5. Tyreek Hill is there. Defensively, Joe Bosa's on the Browns. Interesting landing spot. Stone Cold Jones, even though the player portrait's wrong, he's on the Bills. NFC side, I think Jalen Ramsey on the Philadelphia Eagles. Forrest Buckner on the Packers. Offensively, we got Zeke on the Cowboys. That's cool that he ended up in the same spot. A familiar way to start our playoff journey against the divisional rival. We just beat the Jets in Week 17. Would love to think that we have their number, and we could do it again to start a playoff run as we look to defend our Super Bowl crown. And we do. 38-35 with a 5-touchdown performance from Nick Foles and Terrell Brown in his final run with the Dolphins. Defensive Player of the Week. We get the 10-7 Titans. Maybe rub a little salt in the hypothetical wounds here by Derrick Henry. Get an upgrade, and maybe we score 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns against a what-if scenario if we would have brought him in. And there's another 30 bomb. 38-35. And it's Clay Matthews, unstoppable. Another 3 sacks to his record-breaking tally, putting us back in the AFC Championship game against a divisional rival. Like, how much better can he get? He's now at 99 in pretty much everything. And he regressed last year a little bit. What a freak. What a freak. Absolute freak of nature, one-of-one type player. We had that with Terrell Suggs in the last rebuild, but he wasn't putting up these type of numbers. So they chance to go back to the Super Bowl for 3rd straight time. Nick Foles is 9-1 in his playoff career. Can he get past the New England Patriots to get back to another... shit. No. I mean, it wasn't our... I mean, I guess it's one of those losses where it's like, oh, well, we had Player of the Week offensively and defensively. Surely we did not lose. Oh, Colin Kaepernick. Ugh. Come on, man. If we're going to lose to Colin Kaepernick, he better have like 150 on the ground with a couple touchdowns. He didn't. We let him beat us as a pocket passer. Cam Wake's just not retiring. That's cool. Marshawn Lynch will finish his career with the Dolphins with over 10,000 yards rushing and 83 touchdowns. Not quite as good as he was in real life with the Bills and Seahawks and Raiders. And our 1-2 punch of Cam Wake and Clay Matthews, pretty legendary, all things considered. But Cam Wake coming back for one more year. He's already sitting on 155 TFLs, 143.5 sacks. But both these guys obviously have their sights set on breaking Jason Taylor's franchise record, which actually was just broke. I think Taylor's like 137. So shout out Cam Wake, legend. Unfortunately for him, Clay Matthews is right behind him, and he's getting 30 sacks a year. That's cool. Marshawn Lynch also finishes ahead of Ricky Williams for yardage. Ricky Williams got him beat on touchdowns, but cool. Go to the final 2017 mock draft. Myles Garrett going to the Giants. For our needs, I did bring back Terrell Brown on a 1 year. I don't think I actually recorded that. He's $6 million. He's 79. He's regressed, but he's still good enough to be a corner 3. And I figured a lot of the top corners, as we can see, are going very, very early in this draft. Honestly, for a starter, we got to replace Richie Incognito at guard. Need D-tackle help. Got a couple options. Currently projected to get Malik Hooker. But for the draft, guard, D-tackle, linebacker. If we're in the business of looking for a new starter. We got Nick Foles. Everybody. Guard, we have Deion Dawkins, who I drafted the last rebuild. We got Taylor Moton. That would, unfortunately, at this 30, 64, 60... that's right on the cusp. I think I could draft him and be slightly guilt-free. D-tackle, we got Malik McDowell, Dalvin Tomlinson. That's a little bit out of our range. Linebacker, Raekwon McMillan is there. Nothing too... I mean, hey... Let's go with the Hog Molly here. Taylor Turnstile Moton. Played tackle for us on our Panthers main channel franchise. Ends up being a good pick. No depth trait. So not crazily overpowered, but should be a good day one starter. And look at our draft recap. Got some great value. Getting some names here. Some offensive line. We got Walker Jr. at linebacker. Got Zach Cunningham and Alex Anzalone. Kind of doubling up there a little bit. Zach Cunningham coming in with a dev trait. Gives us a little twofer at the linebacker spot. Some nice depth. And Moton with a very, very nice 78 overall. Now, these classes are ones from 2017 on that I've yet to go in and kind of tinker with and scale. So the ratings might be a little bit higher than previous classes, but eventually I will have all these classes updated, and I will enjoy the slight overpowerness that these last couple of draft classes that close with the rebuild currently bring. For your 16 being below 500 midway through, not ideal, especially for a team that is the best roster in the game. Contract's up. We're going to keep it on as long as Cam Wake wants to return 1 more year. We're going to go Richburg for a first-round pick on a 3-year extension, keeping him for the rest of his prime. And we're going to bring back the Honey Badger on a 5-year deal. But outside of that's where it gets interesting. We got some decisions to be made. I think in the case of both James Carpenter and Trey Turner, that's a lot of money for, a tackle that's at his ceiling, $73 million. We have a guard here in Trey Turner. I think Trey Turner makes a little bit more sense because we can get him signed long-term, like 5-year, 102. I guess I can live with that. Jarris Byrd, pretty expensive at his ceiling, actually starting to regress. And we know Deshaun Jackson is regressing. And when you get Tyreek Hill as a successor in place, there's no... If the interest was there, and I knew I didn't have to overpay, but it's probably going to take well over $150 million over the next 4 years to likely get him to stay here. I don't know if that's in the best interest of this team going forward. It makes no sense. Not much has changed. Schemes are the same. Players are the same. Our offense falls off a cliff. We go 8-9, which at least I could say is not the worst. It's tied for the worst record we've had in this rebuild, but it's not the worst. Nick Foles played well. Can't complain about that. Why is the running back struggling so much? Gronk and Deshaun go off. Like, Tyreek's just, see, the good news is that we have Tyreek Hill to succeed Deshaun Jackson. The bad news is, he's going to lose that X factor. He's going to start as a superstar next year. Defensively, Levante David, good. Our pass rush is still absolutely ridiculous. Cam Wake, showing signs of regression, but he's earned that right. He's an old man at this point. Only award winners is Clay Matthews, winning Defensive Player of the Year for the 4th time, and Linebacker of the Year. Looking quickly at where some of the rookies laid up. Chris Godwin for the Chargers, Joe Mixon. We got Deshaun Watson on the Steelers. Joku there. CMC's on the Texans. Defensively, nothing too crazy. Jamal Adams on the Titans. Myles Garrett is a New York Giant. Marlon Humphrey is a Cardinal. TJ Watt on the Eagles. Marshawn Lattimore on the Commanders. Trey White on the Carolina Panthers. Offensively, nothing insane. Aaron Jones on the Niners is interesting. That's a good fit. When it comes to an end, Cam Wake finishes his career after 13 seasons. Absolute legend. Unfortunately, in the same era, same year, Clay Matthews broke Cam Wake's sack record for a career and counting. Deshaun Jackson is going to end his Dolphins career as the all-time leader in receptions. He's been incredible. 866 catches, 11,000 yards, 79 touchdowns for one of the best deep threats in NFL history. Now we just need Tyreek Hill to succeed him. And whoa, Tyreek keeps his X factor. That is such a win. Was he had the worst year of this rebuild? I think by far, given the standard of our roster. I mean, the good news, the big win, is Derrick Henry and Tyreek Hill have been underperforming, but no loss of dev trait. I mean, Tyreek Hill just hasn't been underperforming, just hasn't been able to get on the field, but he is going to have to succeed Mr. Deshaun Jackson. We need an upgrade at right tackle after letting Carpenter hit free agency. But other than that, I mean, Moten and Richburg have been good fits. I mean, all three of these guys have no dev traits, have kind of been meh draft picks at the time, but they're really solid, especially Trey Turner as a 91 overall. But we need a right tackle. As you look on the defensive side of the ball, we do have Preston Smith entering the final year of his contract, but he's not really a successor to Cam Wake. I do think we need to look potentially at upgrading there, potentially upgrade at D tackle. Linebacking core is fine. We got Zach Cunningham. We got Walker Jr. had a dev trade. You got Anzalone there as well. It's always kind of just led by Levante David. Need free safety help. Need a little bit of corner help. It's kind of weird too. Both Matthew and Diggs have played corner and safety in their time. But, hey, I like going to a draft where we sucked, so we're going to have a little bit higher pick than normal. Let's crush the draft. Plenty of positions that we can get better at. And our first dip into free agency, year 16, we're actually able to go get a position here. We got Joel Bitonio, the right tackle, 2681 with a dev trait. We're able to give him a 4-year, $60 million deal. So it's one less position we have to worry about. But on the flip side, much like we had to watch Drew Brees leave us and go to the Denver Broncos, it's, I guess, Deshaun Jackson's turn. So we're on the clock at pick 12 of the 2018 draft. Looking at how it fell, Bradley Chubb, who's currently obviously a member of the Dolphins, would have been cool to draft. Get Denzel Ward going to the Texans, Saquon on the Giants, DJ Moore on the Dallas Cowboys, Roquan Smith the Steeler, Jair Alexander to the Colts, Baker Mayfield is a Bengal, Quentin Nelson to the Commanders. Board's gonna look pretty decent here for the Dolphins. Our needs, Lamar Jackson's there, but and Josh Allen is there. We don't need a quarterback. Okay, Nick Foles. This could age well if we don't. It could age terribly, sorry, if we don't go on and win. But, come on. We're not doing that. What we do need is pass rush help. And unfortunately, not much is there for a pass rush. It could go Harold Landry, I suppose. Need D tackle help and safety help. Now, at safety, we have Minkah Fitzpatrick, who actually was a pick of the Dolphins. So, I absolutely could run that one back. Or, we have a defensive tackle, Vita Vea, on the board. Vita Vea and Fletcher Cox sounds absolutely disgusting on the defensive line. But the reality is Vita Vea will always be D-tackle 2, which there's a cap. There's a limit to how he would perform. Minkah Fitzpatrick, on the other hand, day one starter at safety, running it back. There's no wrong pick. I'm going to actually guess probably Vita Vea is a little bit worse because Minkah was a true first-rounder, and that's an absolute stud pickup for the Dolphins. Repeating history, and hopefully it works out better. We don't have trading him. All right, so we're back to run it back. D-tackle, what do we have in the second round? We're looking for players, that are in the top 70 or so. So we have Nate Shepard, Canadian, which I do like. If we were to wait for a D-tackle, I think we could live with Harrison Phillips, maybe in the third round. Pass rush help, Fred Warner's still there. But we need pass rush help. Harold Landry has fell to this spot in the draft. I think he can give us a little bit of juice. He's been very underrated, very solid pass rusher for the Titans, and we roll him with a dev trade. Fourth round, we get Antonio Callaway. Was a bust. Was pretty damn good at the University of Florida, but had off the field issues. He's up being a top 100 player at wide receiver, and he pops with a dev trade. Okay. So to look at our draft recap, end up pretty happy with the class, all things considered. Got some depth here, down at the end with Callaway 69 with the dev trade, 67 on BJ Hill. But the big gets Harold Landry 69, got a ways to go. See what if we move him down on the line if his rating goes up any. So I think he would be our left end. Goes from 69 to a 71, so that's a nice win. And then Minkah Fitzpatrick pulling a 77 overall. So I'm always kind of hoping we continue to underperform our team's juggernaut. We're below 500. We're not running the football. We're passing the football decently, but we have Derrick Henry at running back. We're not running the football, so we would have to probably explore potentially a new offense to kind of close this rebuild out, because that's just unacceptable. We're going to start for in-house signings with Quandre Diggs on a 4-year deal. Real solid, versatile defensive back for us. Legendary Clay Matthews, 4-year deal. He will retire a Miami Dolphin. The X-Factor safety Rashad Jones is coming back on a 3-year deal. Then Tyler Lockett sticks up his nose. The bad gets worse. Shit season, and our pretty damn good wide receiver, too, getting ready to hit the prime of his career, wants to dip. Now, I'm not going to outright rule franchise tag, but that could be very, very expensive. And I do think this team potentially could survive on Tyreek Hill and Gronk and maybe running the football a little more with a new offense scheme. So the highest rated team in the NFL by a considerable margin, 93-95. 93 goes 6-11. Our worst, this, I will say right now, circle it. We've done 57 years of retro rebuilds with this series, with these rosters, with these draft classes. This is the #1 most underperforming season. Look at that. This team should be like undefeated, pushing for undefeated. So I say with absolute pride, gone. I'm not touching the defense. Let me see the sacks. At least our defense is good. Tyreek Hill finishes the leading receiver in the NFL. Nick Foles was good. You know, we've passed out some pretty big name quarterbacks because we have Nick Foles. Nick Foles is not the reason why we're losing. He's playing outstanding. He's playing like a top 8 quarterback in the NFL. Our run game, we need to tap into this more. We know the potential and talent Derrick Henry has. Tyreek Hill goes off. Needed that. The rookie Callaway had a really, really good campaign. Lockett's gone. At least Gronk gets double-digit touchdowns. Defensively, I mean, again, can't complain too much. Huge regression from Matthews, but still not a bad year. Fletcher Cox steps up. I mean, Clay Matthews is getting old. Father time undefeated. The rookie Harold Landry, 15 TFLs, 7.5 sacks, 7 sacks for Levante David. So I'm content with the defense, but the offense just outside Tyreek Hill and, you know, throwing the football to our slot wide receiver. Everything else sucks about it. We do score offensive and defensive rookie of the year. Callaway, kind of a what-if scenario, ends up getting, I don't know how, as our wide receiver 3. But he sure as hell earned it. Nick Chubb is on the Jags. Defensively, Harold Landry wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. Roquan Smith beating. I mean, that's a great start to his career. Jair on the Colts. Jesse Bates on the Raiders. You got Minka there as well. From the NFC side, Bradley Chubb on the Philadelphia Eagles. Derwin James is a Detroit Lion. Fred Warner finds his way back on the San Francisco 49ers. We saw it from the draft. Saquon. We got Mark Andrews going to the Eagles. DJ Moore on the Dallas Cowboys. Gross. Now, this holds true. Green Bay was probably the most surprising, like, this is such a good offense. How is this such a good offense that I've found in Madden 25 as of late? So I'm very happy with this potential role for our offense going forward. Looking at our team, this is going to be the worst spot that we're at. I think this change, we got 5 years left. We're pretty much starting a whole nother regular rebuild. I think we got this. I think this is going to be the winning combination. As far as dev traits, nothing regressed offensively, but we are going to lose Tyler Lockett to free agency, I think, pending a potential franchise tag situation. Defensively, Harold Landry for getting Defensive Rookie of the Year is now a superstar dev trait, which is awesome. Minka Fitzpatrick was a superstar dev trait out the box. Alex Anzalone was normal, now a star dev, which is helping the linebacking core. Unfortunately, though, especially because we just hammered out a 3-year contract extension, we lose the X factor on Rashad Jones. All right, so we cashed in one of our coach abilities, which is to renegotiate with someone that we're locked out. We gave him another offer, raised offer. He just wants to leave the franchise tag, $39 million. I'll accept that option for Derrick Henry. Honestly, I think we'll take the writing on the wall. We'll find someone else. I'm not going to splash crazy money in free agency, but we need a true defensive tackle that can play alongside Fletcher Cox. And I think we get exactly that in Danny Shelton on a 2-year deal. So with the 6th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, Vic Bosa, Quinnen Williams off the board. I had a feeling that we weren't going to have a chance to get Quinnen Williams. That's why we were a little aggressive in getting Danny Shelton, because if not, Quinnen Williams and Fletcher Cox would be absolutely disgusting. Our needs are wide receiver and corner. And the wide receivers that are available, we got Deebo Samuel. Hollywood Brown is a top 5 talent in the class. Again, these are not my personal draft classes. So, I mean, again, there's going to be some differencing of opinions. At corner, we did also scout the top available corner, which is Byron Murphy Jr. I mean, look at that. You know, Ed Oliver. We could go Christian Wilkins. Kind of Dex Lawrence is there, sexy Dexy. So we would actually had a lot of great options at D-tackle. We didn't want to bring back in Shelton, but I think we trust the board. Need a wide receiver. Speed kills to pair with Tyreek Hill. We get an absolute burner in Hollywood Brown, who's somehow number 2 in true value in the class. What? Okay. I think this scenario, we got to trust the ratings. DeAndre Baker was very talented, had some off-the-field issues, never really panned out in the NFL in the first go-around, but clearly looks like for a DB need, kind of hungry team, a great pick at this spot. Maybe just get something in the pipelines behind Nick Foles. Why not Minshew Mania? Who that's, very surprising dev trait, but I'm not going to complain one bit. Just following our board, Tony Pollard here, getting a little 1-2 punch with old Derrick Henry in the backfield. Take a look at our draft recap. Ended up getting Kendall Sheffield, more depth in the secondary. Tony Pollard, 69 with a dev trait. Gardner Minshew, 67 with a dev trait. DeAndre Baker, 72 normal, but shockingly, Hollywood Brown, an 80 hidden dev. Sick. Good early bye week, the good, the bad. The good is 3-2, I guess, is fine, because we know it could be a lot worse. The offense we had the bye week, right? So it did shift some of our ratings. Before the bye week, we were all of the green for points, pass yards, rush yards. So I'm optimistic it's going to stay that way when the season is done. It's going to look and be a lot more reflective of our 93 overall offense, which is good. And the OC change is doing exactly what it needed to. Contractually, $67 million is not a lot at all. Where'd my money go? Shit. Okay, not good. Can't even offer Nick Foles. Gronk. Can't keep Gronk, but truth be told, Gronk's not really earning that contract. And I can't offer Trent Williams. Okay, 6. So maybe we'll come back to Gronk. Okay, we got Gronk. Gronkson, he loves living in Miami. Shocking. We're able to get Tyreek Hill on a 5-year deal. But unless someone retires, in particular, we'll be losing our franchise tackle and franchise quarterback. I will just eject. We're going to go right to the end. People say, why don't I trade players in situations like that? Why wouldn't I just trade Nick Foles, see what kind of value, and or Trent Williams? I already find struggle in keeping this series balanced between too cheesy, not cheesy. That would just take it over the edge. If I was flipping all of my good players that I couldn't afford to re-sign for first and second round picks, nah. So we close the season at 11-6. Offensively, the exact numbers that we are looking for. We win the AFC, so we're back on top. I'll move the webcam. Something kind of cool here is, you're seeing a couple scenarios. Johnny Manziel killing it for the Jags. Justin Blackmon, leading receiver in the NFL. Yes, that Justin Blackmon. So that's kind of cool. As for our own team, again, we are going to be letting Nick Foles walk. No fault of his own. He's been awesome. He's been elite in the playoffs. He's put up franchise QB numbers. We just have no money. We're broke. Derrick Henry was better. Tyreek Hill is... We have to pay Tyreek Hill. Had to. Love seeing that from Hollywood Brown. Gronk. Again, probably going to let Gronk walk. I think the thing that could end up biting us in the ass is if we just decided not to pay Gronk because he hasn't really earned it, maybe we would get a little bit extra in the offseason to keep Nick Foles. We'll see how that ages. Clay Matthews continues to be a freak of nature. 20.5 sacks, 15 sacks from Spencer Cox, 12.5 from Harold Landry, and Honey Badger leads the team with 4 picks. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, your NFL MVP. Tyreek Hill is the Offensive Player of the Year and Wide Receiver of the Year. Damn, close, but no cigar for old Clay Matthews. Quickly looking at where some of the other big name players. Scary Terry is in Pittsburgh. Hawkinson on the Jags. We have defensive Ed Oliver on the Jags. Simmons on the Steelers. So both those guys had really, really good drafts. Dex Lawrence on the Chiefs. Gross. Quentin Williams on the Falcons. Nick Bosa on the Cardinals. Offensively, A.J. Brown on the New York Giants. Gross. Josh Jacobs on the Bucs. Kyler Murray is a Philadelphia Eagle. And Deebo Samuel on the Panthers. DK there on the Cardinals as well. But what could potentially be Nick Foles' final hurrah? It's to be the most Nick Foles thing possible. To go on one last Super Bowl run, bring the band, and we lose. Damn it. This is the Joe Burrow class. I'm in nowhere near draft position to get said Joe Burrow. And Nick Foles goes down not great. Unfortunately for us, we didn't get any retirement roles. We didn't get a gigantic bump up in salary cap, so only $25 million remaining. And Nick Foles getting an X factor out of nowhere. I mean, the good news is that even if I didn't sign Gronk, I would not have had enough money anyways. So, yeah. Damn. Legend. What about maybe Trent Williams? Can I give him like a long... No, no chance. No chance. All right, see you, fellas. We'll accept that option. And looking at the quarterbacks that are available, I mean, all the half-decent ones are fairly expensive. Got Matt Ryan looking for $8 million a year. Aaron Rodgers looking for 54. Nick Foles up there. I think we go in blind to the draft. Who else is there? Who's after Burrow? I can't remember. Blanking. Man, this is actually... Oh, I'm blanking. This is when we did the Browns rebuild, the same time we needed a quarterback. We ended up going Jalen Hurts. I won't do that, obviously. But is there a scenario where some of these quarterbacks start to fall into the teens? We're going to end up with two, aren't we? Again. Sorry, Dolphins fans. Final mock draft. Joe Burrow going 1 to the Giants. Tua going 3 to the Chiefs, which is going to be so freaking cheesy. Wait, where is he? Not going first round. Are we going to trust the board? The board was trusted. What they should have done all along. Justin Herbert, you are a Miami Dolphin. So looking at our draft recap, outside of Herbert, I mean, humble starting point at a 71 hidden dev. Needed a Trent Williams replacement. Tackles were pretty dog shit, so we got Josh Jones, 68. Really, rest of the class, nothing really to write home about. But we have our franchise quarterback to close out this rebuild. And a great what-if hypothetical scenario. But in the year 19, we got our QB1. We had Will Holden already on the roster to place hold as a replacement for Trent Williams. Here we go. What if? The good news for us is year 1 of the Justin Herbert era. You know, 7-3, finding ways to win. Beat the Patriots 9-6 on the back of a 4-sack performance by, Matthews. And, hey, so we know Herbert. We know how good it is. This is kind of restarting his history. We still have a rookie quarterback. I'm not expecting the offense, even with the playmakers we have, to be S tier year 1. However, year 2, year 3, we need Herbert to step it up. We have barely any money. $26 million. If we're going by who deserves it, it's Levante David, but he's getting classified as an edge rusher. So, and same with Cunningham. So I guess we're going to stay with Derrick Henry. End up year 1 of the Herbert era going 12-5. Offensively, pass game needs to figure it the fuck out. Run game, hey, maybe not the worst idea that we paid Derrick Henry. He looks pretty damn good, 88 yards. Defense, S tier. We win the AFC East, which, year 1 of hopefully something beautiful. Especially offensively, pass game, we'll figure it out. Because again, Green Bay Packers playbook, pretty damn good once you do figure it out. But it's a rookie quarterback, so expectations do need to be changed. 3,600 yards, 29 touchdowns, 8 picks. Pretty damn good for a rookie. Derrick Henry's best year, so it's cool that we paid him. Tyreek went off relatively, 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns. Hollywood Brown was okay, but I just don't know why Gronk is not getting the kind of production he should. Matthews is a freak. Landry, our pass rush is absolutely disgusting. It almost becomes an afterthought if, technically, from a record standpoint, he's 1 sack off the current in real life record. It's just like, it's just another year from Clay Matthews. So for our award winners, we have Sanders. He was a Dolphins kicker. Brought him. He gets kicker of the year off the scrap heap. Linebacker of the year actually doesn't go to Clay Matthews, which is absolutely wild. But he does win defensive player of the year. And we have Justin Herbert getting offensive rookie there. Outdueling Jordan Love, who's the quarterback of the future for the Ravens. You got Lamb on the Texans. Justin Jefferson is on the Bills. Jonathan Taylor on the Raiders. From an NFC side, let's see where the other Jerry Jeudy there. We have Higgins on the Commanders. Man, the other QBs, did Joe Burrow, what did Joe Burrow do? Absolutely nothing. So at least we look at, at face value, I didn't see two up there as well. We made the right choice at quarterback. Now the magic number is 214, I think. As long as he doesn't surprisingly retire, that record should be Clay Matthews next season. Well, I also kind of interested. Michael Vick is now the all-time leader in passing touchdowns. Dwayne Bowe has the most receiving touchdowns. What? Dwayne Bowe was the face of that Chiefs team, I think, that had 0 receiving touchdowns by a receiver that one year. It was like him and like Jeremy Maclin there, I think. The first year playoffs for Justin Herbert. We start at home against the Indianapolis Colts. Cool to get a first win. Yes, sir. That's a great confidence builder for a young rookie quarterback. And like it was the offense. It wasn't like another 9-6. The defense did the job. That is an overtime clutch win. Now let's cut down on the picks. But 4 touchdowns, 300 yards is pretty damn good. And we get another home game here against the Denver Broncos, who have done nothing but steal our players. It feels like this whole freaking rebuild. Deshaun Jackson most recently. And the defense gets it done. 13-10. And who else but Clay Matthews? We're now a win away from pulling like the what the Commanders couldn't do in real life with a rookie quarterback. That is make a Super Bowl. We have the 11-6 Colin Kaepernick-led New England Patriots in our backyard at home. Damn it! No, don't have me win. Okay, I was saying, don't have me win both Player of the Weeks. I guess Colin Kaepernick's a juggernaut in this sim. Damn. I mean, hey, hell of a year for a rookie quarterback. We're only going to be better next year. Hey, look at our team as you close. We get the big role. The role that we needed on either side of the ball. Justin Herbert for winning Offensive Rookie of the Year probably gets a just superstar dev trait, which is hopefully going to strap that rocket to his development for the final 3 years of this rebuild to help us get over that final hump. Defensively, as far as dev traits are concerned, nothing too crazy. Lose the superstar dev on Rashad Jones. He's just, he's getting old at this point. Everything else, very happy with it. And no retirement for Clay Matthews, so he has his sights firmly set on, in year 20, becoming the all-time record holder in career sacks. With the salary cap going up, we still just... Actually, maybe with Levante, maybe. Oh, yeah. Come on, baby. Fuck you. Pardon my French. I'm not going to sign anyone anyway. You're coming back on a tag, buddy. Congrats. Wait, what? Franchise tag, yes. Okay, there we go. For the look of our roster going into the draft, we need a tackle, we need a center, we need some help at linebacker. Doable. Anyway, all the way to pick 30, looking at the board that was ahead of us. Got Greg Rousseau on the Jags. Kyle Pitts went 1. A tight end went 1. Sewell, number 2, to the Bills. That's coming to visit. Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback of the Chiefs. Micah Parsons to the Cardinals. Pat Surtain to the Niners. Javonte Smith to the Jets. Jalen Waddle. This is actually a good year. Good draft for the Dolphins. Waddle goes 5 to the Bengals. Jamar Chase goes to the Dallas Cowboys. Whole lot of gross there, but for our needs. Tackle. Oh, every quarterback is still there. Sick. We need tackle help. Got Dickerson there. Got Creed Humphrey. Again, these aren't my classes. These haven't been updated in a very long time. We need linebacker help. I mean, it's within the house rule. I mean, again, these are very outdated classes, so a lot of these guys probably aren't updated to where they should be. But hey, we'll take JOK. Hell yeah. Stud always. For our draft recap, only 2 big position needs. You need linebacker and tackle. Got the best tackle available. It was a slow burn. He's finally put it all together for the Bills. Spencer Brown, though, 64. That's not going to help us a whole lot. Remember Davion Nixon coming to Iowa? I thought he was going to be the next big thing. I don't even know if he's still in the league. But at least JOK, the first round was a hit. Out of the bye here in year 20, above 500. I wish we were a little bit higher than that, but it's fine. Could be worse. Their salary cap getting a little tight. Might have to let Rashad Jones, been a great servant to this defense. Bounce. Batoni. Like, our tackles are so bad that, like, we have to pay this. We can't cheap out on the offensive line. at both spots. I mean, Fletch needs to get paid. Oh, dude. Got to. I mean, then we're not going to have any more. But he has to. Him and Matthews. I mean, and Landry. Landry's been killing it, too. Credit's due. This rebuild has been maybe more successful. We've won more Super Bowls than our other 20 years. But the salary cap, especially the last couple of years, have been brutal. So we do bring Fletcher Cox back for 2 years, which will finish the rebuild out. But we are going to be losing our double-digit, part of that trio of our pass rush. Our very underrated wide receiver, 2-3, whatever you want to break it down. And I just don't have money to anybody else. This year probably gets as close as we're going to have for the rest of this video as like an all-or-nothing year. Because we're going to be losing a lot of talent that we can't afford to pay. So this could be, the most competitive and the best roster that we have from here on out. We can auto-upgrade a couple players here after a final season finale there. I'll love seeing that. JOK getting the 3 XP points. I think he would have got probably a tackle goal for earning that. Look at our ranks. I mean, a good run offense. Not really the numbers you'd want to see at Justin Herbert. Fucking paying Gronk, man, was so dumb. God damn it. Just doesn't offer anywhere near what we need him to. So Justin Herbert, awesome. 39 touchdowns, 4,000 yards, run game, solid. Tyreek, Hollywood Brown, killing it. Gronk, I mean, I guess he's getting us touchdowns. I take back. Double-digit touchdowns, you can't complain. Even the 400 yards is pretty bad by his standards. JOK, as a rookie, puts himself in pole position to get himself a Rookie of the Year award. He would have got that XP for like 8 TFLs or breaking 100 tackles, one of or the other. Clay Matthews with 22.5 sacks. We get 16 from Landry, 14 from Fletch. Clay Matthews is now your all-time career sack record holder. 234, and he honestly might go the whole rebuild. Might have 2 more years left in him. Can we get 250? For our award winners, we get Clay Matthews getting, once again, Defensive Player of the Year and Linebacker of the Year. Defensive Rookie there goes to JOK. We have Javon Holland, who was a Dolphins pick this year. He is on the Chiefs, runner-up. Asante Samuel on the Jets. That's in our division. Trevor Lawrence killed it on the Chiefs. I have no other expectation that he was, let's be honest, it's the Chiefs. Look at everywhere else. I mean, we already saw where a lot of the big names went. Nothing too crazy there. Nothing too shocking there. The pressure is on, knowing what we're about to lose in free agency. I think anything short of an AFC Championship game appearance would be absolutely brutal. Look at that defense. Pitching a shutout, 33-0. Oh. Now we have Trevor Lawrence and those goddamn Chiefs, who are, I'm sure, going to be an absolute problem in the final 2 years of this rebuild. Come on. Fuck them. Fuck them, right? God damn it. They're going to be so hard to beat. Clay Matthews, another 2 sacks in case this is his final hurrah. Because every year we're going to be, having that discussion. At least he can leave with his head held high. Our offense, right? Honestly, the defense outside of them, 40 points. Are you kidding me? Oh, that's sad. All right, we're just going to watch the 93 X Factor leave. Can't afford it. I mean, we're going to decline the option on Hollywood Brown and hopefully have a little bit more money. Thanks for everything, Levante David. You were a beast. But now we are well into where free agency is viable. So we are able to just kind of downgrade a little bit in positions, but still get good players. So instead of Levante David, we get Darius Leonard in. 27-83 with a dev trait. We have Braden Smith at guard, so a slight downgrade from what we had in Taylor Mode, but not gigantic, and he's about half price. And then I got Howard Wilson at corner, and this is going to allow us to potentially move Quandre Diggs to safety, where we have a big-time need. Man, it's just so damn expensive. Our biggest need going into the 2022 draft, pass rush. Could use a safety too, so we don't have to juggle around as many guys in the secondary. But at pick 27, there's just not going to be a whole lot there. Ooh. So we got Jermaine Johnson, or if we were looking at the safety department, we do have Jalen Petrie, who could be there in the second round. Unlikely, but we need that pass rush out. We need someone that can come in day one, and we get last chance you star Jermaine Johnson. Ooh, couldn't ask for a better role. Able to get Jalen Petrie with our second pick. Hell yeah. Got some interesting names to kind of close out. We got Algier in the 5th round. We got Alec Pierce. A little bit of an exciting white in the 4th round. But Petrie, 74 dev trait. Johnson, 74 dev trait. Both these guys are going to start as rookies and need to contribute in year 21 of this rebuild. Point of year 21, and we are 6-1. Wow. Finally played up to potential. Coming off a game where like 36-year-old Clay Matthews is still just running up his sack record. We're going to get Trey Turner back on a 2-year deal to finish out the rebuild. Stay with the Honey Badger on a 2-year. Lock in Minkah Fitzpatrick. And likely we'll pay Hollywood Brown, but because there's still a slight chance that Clay Matthews won't retire, I have to make sure I have enough. Because if he's coming back next year, he's not going to be anywhere else. And in year 21, we put up one of our most impressive years yet. We go 12-5, but look at the rankings. One of the best offenses and defenses. Yet another AFC East title on the resume. Justin Herbert was 3rd in the league with 41 touchdowns. Our run game was solid. Tyreek Hill was elite. 1,500 yards, 23 touchdowns. Hollywood Brown, not too bad. Gronk, just kind of that's what he gives us now, but at 36 years old, Clay Matthews, 29.5 sacks. We get 16 from Fletch, 9.5 on 12 TFLs for Jermaine Johnson. We should absolutely put him in Rookie of the Year consideration. 5 picks by Quandre Diggs. Gross. But we end up with Tyreek Hill, Offensive Player of the Year and Wide Receiver of the Year. Clay Matthews, Defensive Player of the Year and Linebacker of the Year. Shut out Harold Landry. Still an absolute beast. Unfortunately, Jermaine Johnson, close but no cigar. 2nd place in Defensive Rookie of the Year. But Quandre Diggs, of course, I can't afford to bring him back for one more year, but he is DB of the Year. 264 sacks. That's 64 more than the current record. He's the GOAT. Over 1,000 tackles, 194 TFLs, 264 sacks. The GOAT. And in the first round, of course, we get the freaking Chiefs, because what else is new? They can suck it. They can take their overpoweredness and be like, we are the better team. Now, Herbert has not put up great stat lines here in these last couple playoff games, but he did get 3 rushing touchdowns. Our run game was on point. Tyreek got his. And defensively, okay, half sack for Clay. He's usually a lot better than that. It's an all-Florida battle in the divisional round against the 12-5 Jacksonville Jaguars, led by an elite, what if it worked out, Johnny Manziel. They got Nick Chubb in the backfield. A lot of weapons. Not enough. 31-21. And hopefully we get a little bit better performance here from Justin Herbert. And we did. Clean game. Outdueling Johnny Manziel. Run game was on point. Tyreek, $139 and a touchdown. And that is the Clay Matthews we know and love. And honestly, if you count the sacks that he has in the playoffs, he's probably close to 300 for his career. And it's another AFC Championship game appearance. However, we have not had the best of luck. A couple years ago, stalled in this spot. I actually think it was against Colin Kaepernick and the Patriots. Oh, we beat them, though. Let's go. 2017, ugly win. But we get great showings as Herbert does what he does enough, and Clay Matthews does what he does best. Another hat-trick performance of sacks. The Super Bowl is set. We got the Green Bay Packers 14-3, the number 1 offense led by Jameis Winston. Their defense, not too bad either. Top 10 defense. This looks firmly like the 2 best teams in the NFL. Truly getting to find out here in year 21, the 2002 regular season, who the best team is in the NFL. And hopefully, the Dolphins can get their 4th Super Bowl of the rebuild. You know, Green Bay, they also got Shayshawn Barkley. So there's a bunch of ways they can beat us. So there's a bunch of ways we can beat them. And I'd love to say this is the final game of Clay Matthews' career. Another hat trick, clearly Super Bowl MVP performance. Anytime they score, we've been able to score, but we are tied 17-all. Everything to play for in the second half. Low scoring game. Usually lower scoring games don't favor us. But that is clutch. Justin Herbert needed a touchdown. We got one. Back in the red zone again. 2 straight touchdowns from the Dolphins. Our defense can get the stop. Damn it. Can we get in field goal range? 55 seconds to go. We have a former kicker of the year in Jason Sanders. We're going to overtime. We score first in overtime. They're going to go for it on 4th down. Let's go, baby. Super Bowl number 4. You're welcome, Dolphins fans. 4-0 playoff run. Super Bowl win versus Green Bay. Number 4, official in the notes. And we earned it, man. This team, God mode. Perfect way. I still technically really hope that Clay Matthews wants to come back for one more year. But if he's going on top, the GOAT. Was he here for every one of our Super Bowls? Let me see. We got him there. He was. So there's a chance Clay Matthews is going to retire. Wait, is this our 3rd Super Bowl or 4th? Our 3rd Super Bowl, sorry. I come with 4 at. MVP, clearly Justin Herbert with 5 touchdowns. Let's just see, because...
Unknown caller.
Leave me alone! Trying to sell me on a credit card. I'm working over here. There we go. Hey, if it's the final game, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, Clay Matthews, you love to see it. It's not retiring. Awesome. Now, the downside of that is we can't afford to keep our wide receiver 2 in Hollywood Brown. We can't afford to keep the reigning defensive back of the year. So, gotta need some rookies to step up next year. For our final draft, we need wide receiver. We're gonna go best wide receiver available. Of course, there probably was a run on wide receivers. As Jackson Smith-Njigba goes 8. Zay Flowers goes 10. Jordan Addison goes 14. Quentin Johnson goes 19. Mingo goes out. Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't even know who's left. Who do we got at wide receiver? Jaden Reed. Sure. Well, we're Packers offense. He should be pretty damn good. Yes, let's go. So for draft recap, outside of that, we bring in Garrett Williams at corner. We get, some decent, picks across the board, but we only have one that needs to start, and that will be Jaden Reed alongside Alec Pierce, Tyreek Hill. Here we are, year 22, final year of the rebuild. This is what our Dolphins team looks like, defending Super Bowl champions. The addition of Jaden Reed on the offense. I mean, at times feels like this team's been held together with duct tape. By the offense, I have confidence. The defense, Matthews loses a dev trait unjustly. Off a 30-sack season, you still lose a dev trait, which is absolutely disgusting. But he's back at year 14 at 37 years old to win another Super Bowl. And then the year we go 12-5, which has just been our record. We've won 11 AFC championships, and I was correct at the end of last year. That was our 4th rebuild. Going through the notes, checking everything over, crossing T's, dotting I's. This has been, without a doubt, our most successful 20-year rebuild to date. Looking at the numbers here to wrap it out, Justin Herbert, another stellar campaign, 4,200 yards, 42 touchdowns. Derrick Henry was solid. Tyreek Hill, outstanding, 1,300 yards, 19 touchdowns. The rookie Jaden Reed, just under 1,000, but double-digit touchdowns. Man, I wish Gronk would have figured it out, but at least he was here a lot for the ride. Touchdown, Robbie G. Defensively, and we wouldn't have it any other way. 37 years old, 19 and a half sacks for Clay. And Fletch within his own right, he's a D tackle, different position. He's getting close to 200 career sacks. But also, I mean, in real life, Fletch is probably going to be a Hall of Famer eventually. Minka Fitzpatrick leading the team with 4 picks. Looking at our award winners, Jason Sanders wins Kicker of the Year for the 2nd time, which is freaking awesome. And Jaden Reed is your Offensive Rookie of the Year winner. No other career sacks were broken, but 283. I mean, that'll be the pace. We're probably going to do this series as long as you guys continue to support it. For all 32 teams, will we ever break 283 sacks? Probably not. Legend. For our squad here in Miami, all the records we've taken, I mean, I almost feel like shout out to the guys that held on to the records. Dan Marino, we could never trump Dan Marino, even though I do think Trevor Lawrence probably on a pace that could make it interesting. Marshawn Lynch finishes as the new all-time leader in rush yards. We got Ricky Williams with touchdowns. Wes Welker in receiving yards and touchdown catches. Gronk with receptions. And Matthews with sacks. Picks are always going to be very, very tough because picks are generally kind of low in Madden Sim. And now we get a chance to go and repeat as Super Bowl champions and get number 5. It starts against the 10-7 Pittsburgh Steelers. We're pretty damn good. Deshaun Watson, even though he's an absolute loser, to put it politely, has been very good for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I feel like every 20-year rebuild, my final year is just dog shit. We lose. Damn it. Team deserved better. 0-1, a tough draw. But I don't know. Try to think of the positive. Focus on the positives. Clay Matthews, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. That's it. That's how you cap this. Everything about this. 37 years old. Came back. Just wouldn't retire. Look at the stats. Started out off-ball linebacker. At this time, he was supposed to be Jason Taylor's replacement. Jason Taylor wouldn't retire. Similar type vibes. And then he's like, boom, okay, how about this? I'm just going to fucking average 20 a year. What is that average? 27, 20, 26, 30. Like, he literally averaged probably breaking the actual sack record a year for most of his career. Every year. Absolute legend, man. And I don't know. I don't really want to highlight anyone else after this disappointing end. I mean, Tyreek was awesome. Derrick Henry was meh. Rob Gronk was meh in relation to how talented they should be. Gronk had a couple big years. But the defense deserves to shine. Fletcher Cox, Matthews, awesome, man. Absolutely awesome. So that will do it for our third ever 20-year Madden 25 rebuild, fellas. I hope you guys did enjoy. As always on this series, I love to shoot for a goal of 1,000 likes every single time. It takes me 4 goddamn days to make this video. I hope you guys do enjoy it. If it is your first time stopping by, hit that subscribe button, as we are very close to 180,000 subscribers as the next little channel milestone that we could try to hit. Please let me know in the comment section below which team you guys want to see next in a 20-year rebuild. I think it was like a close one between the Jets and the Panthers. But if you really don't want to see one of those ones, voice your opinion in the comments below, and I will do the most requested rebuild next for our next 20 rebuild. Hopefully tomorrow, I think we'll have a regular, realistic rebuild on the channel. Follow up with some pink slips to get this thing going here to close out the month. But I hope you guys did enjoy. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate each and every time you guys stop and hang out with me on the channel, and I'll see you back